Okay, we're ready, man. All right, what's up, Facebook Live, YouTube, everybody in the world? Welcome to the 1921 radio show. It's 1921 radio. And so what is 1921? 1921 is named after the incredible time in Black history, in American history. 1921, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, thriving community, 600 Black-owned businesses, 10,000 residents, almost completely burned down. Oh, sorry. I'm forgetting I'm on the radio. So burned down, but a lot of people don't know that same year it was rebuilt and was even thriving even more than it was. And that's what 1921 is named after. That's why I call it the 1921 show. My name is James Parker. I'm your host tonight, and I'm also the CEO and founder of 1921 Co-working and Incubator, the very first Black-owned tech and manufacturing incubator opening on the south side of Chicago, where we will launch Black tech startups and bring high-paying jobs to the community. Okay, so as we see the Walmarts and the big stores and the grocery stores leaving the Black community, 1921 will be coming in the community with high-paying jobs. So we're excited about that. We're going to be talking about more. We have another exciting piece next week. We're going to be launching the 1921 radio show website. Wow, I can't wait to do that. I mean, we got articles from businesses in the community all over the country. We're going to have a directory of businesses that you'll be able to reach and contact. It's going to be huge, all right? It's going to be huge. If you're a small business owner, you will want to know about this. All right, so anyway, as you guys know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And last 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, we talked about Stress Awareness Week. And last week, we talked about mental health with Khalid Scott. And we're continuing that all this month. And we're going to look at different aspects of mental health. I'm hoping that I get a yoga instructor coming on next week to talk about how yoga is great for the mental health as well. All right. I have a yoga mat, but I've never done yoga. Go figure. Okay. So with tonight, we've got 4 guests. Incredible, because we're going to talk about a very heavy subject, and that is teen suicide. As you know, mental health it doesn't just affect young people. It doesn't just affect young people. I mean, older people, right? We think that older people only deal with it and the stress and things like that, but we know that young people deal with it as well. You know, with COVID and everything, I shared last week about my son being away at school, and I'm watching NBC Nightly, whatever, with Lester Holt, and he's interviewing these families whose kids tried to commit suicide, and they said they've never done that before. But then I thought we've never been in a pandemic that they know about before.
Sure.
I saw that episode. You know what I did, right? Oh, I called Cameron. I'm like, pack your bags. You're on the first flight back to Chicago.
Right.
You're not going to Florida by yourself, homie. I'm not going to get that. I didn't know, and I didn't think about it, right? Oh, he was on the plane 2 days later back in Chicago. And he was so happy. Mm-hmm. He didn't even realize that he was feeling a certain way. He didn't know what it was, right? And that's why we've got to be in tune, parents. We have to be in tune, uncles and aunts, nieces and nephews, cousins. We have to be in tune with our young people. How are they thinking? How are they feeling? We've got to be able to recognize these things. I just saw an episode of Nightly News, and that was enough for me. I was like, oh, you're coming home. All right. I'm on the phone with my daughter. She wasn't in school, but I had to make sure she was okay. And even though she had an apartment that I'm paying for, she was going to be back in Chicago. I didn't know. Okay. But we got to be in tune. And that's why I'm so happy about our guest tonight. You know, Khalid Scott, I'm about to start adding PhD to your name, bro. Man, you got everything but the PhD almost, brother. We got Khalid Scott. We have family friends that I've known for a while, a long time. Shonda Spates. We've got Jonathan Perry. We've got Jeff Morris, CEO of Dream Smart Behavioral Solutions. And we're ready to rock and roll. So you hear the echoes? Okay. So we got to turn our laptop down maybe a little more. Okay, good. And so we've got a great topic. I need people to leave Right here too. Let's see here. What can we do? Okay, so if you guys are able to turn your laptop on, we should be good. So let me turn mine down. Right here, I got mine all the way up. Okay, here we go. Okay, all right. So if you have any questions, please put them in the text box. On Facebook. And 773-591-1690. 773-591-1690. If you have a grandson or a granddaughter or a niece or a nephew or a son or a daughter or a cousin, please listen in because there may be signs that you may not see. And we don't want to get that I didn't know. So I'm going to start off with Shonda Spate. Shonda, welcome to the 1921 radio show. If we could go around and introduce yourself and what you do. So we'll start with Shonda, Jonathan, Jeffrey, and then Jeff rather, and then Khalid. So Shonda, please kick us off. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am Shonda Spates, and I am the creator of Dad App, a suicide prevention mobile app. We have a very unique platform for that. And then also I have a counseling agency based out of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Right, all the way from North Carolina. Okay, so Teddy Riley. Okay, what's up? Wait, is he from North Carolina? Okay.
Thank you for not saying how long I've known you.
Okay, I know, right? A long time. Okay, Mr. Perry.
Yes, sir, man. I actually think Teddy Riley from Virginia, but I ain't gonna hold that against you. My name is Jonathan Perry. I'm the vice president of that app with Shonda Spates. And by day, I am a educator. I work at a high school. I'm the school's we call it graduation coach. It's just a real unique way of saying dropout prevention specialist. And I also do SEL, which is social emotional learning.
Oh, I love it. Okay. See, my wife's an educator too. I don't know how y'all do it.
I don't either.
I'm glad y'all do it. Y'all don't get paid enough, but that's a whole nother topic. All right, Mr. Morris.
Everybody, my name is Jeff Morris. I am the CEO and founder of DreamSmart Behavioral Solutions. We are the only Black-owned behavioral science firm in the world. I'm going to repeat that again for you. There's no one else that looks like me and us on this call that has an organization that's emphasis and specialty is in behavioral change management solutions. So I'm excited to be a partner with Shonda and Jonathan. We're going to change the world by not only helping to prevent teen suicide and self-harm, but we're going to really level up this next generation of students so that they know who they are, what they are, how they are, and why they are, brother. So I'm excited to be in the program.
Wow, great to have you. Man, I need your email too, man. We're going to interview you for our upcoming site, man. All right, we got to get that out. Oh, what? Oh, okay. Yeah, we're interviewing you, man. So, all right, soon to be Dr. Khalid Scott, LCCSW. You know I don't know the CADC, LPHA, A5A, and all that.
That's a lot of acronyms, bro. That's a lot of acronyms.
Well, James, thank you for bringing me on. And this topic really hits home because of our kid.
Yeah.
A kid who we lost 2 years ago. I've been doing social work for 30 years here. Been a mentor for 30 years, and I'm a partner in a private practice, International High Achievers, where we do both individual and marriage therapy. And I work during the VA at Jesse Brown on the west side of Chicago during the day. So my plate is full, but I love it.
You know, and you send encouraging text messages every morning. You know, I mean, that's someone who is committed, right? Yeah. I mean, all that stuff on his plate, and I'll get this text. It's a beautiful Friday. Make it great. You know, I'm like, wow. The fact that you wake up,
put me up on that. Yeah. Put me up on that too.
Yeah, get it man. I mean, literally, boom, happy Friday, happy Tuesday. I'm like, happy Tuesday, right? And you never know. Like, how did I know I needed that, right? I didn't know I needed that. So,
we got to share the positivity. Always.
Yeah, always. And I love it. And I've known Khalid, wow, very, very long time. Just like he shared earlier, we were a mentor. between this young man, and we'll get into that later, who committed suicide, and it was devastating. So Shonda, tell us about DDTS, and what does the acronym stand for? What does that acronym stand for?
Thank you. The acronym stands for DigiDad Advice Anytime. So DigiDad Advice Anytime, and it's pronounced Dad App.
Dad App. My bad.
Dad App. I imagine in my head one day we'll have a commercial that will say, "What app? Dad App." What Dad? No, Dad App. So we'll get there eventually. But that's what it stands for, and it's so much more than that. Like you're going to be knocked off your feet when you hear what you develop.
Wow. Well, tell us a little bit what you developed and why did you develop it?
Well, what we developed is a mobile hub. So what this does is designed for suicide prevention, and it's a mobile app, but it's actually more than that. It's actually a single point access to counseling, mentoring, and wraparound services so that we can actually improve the effectiveness and improve the outcomes for mental health and suicide prevention services. Why is because of my own son's suicide attempt. My son was going through bullying at school, and it's kind of like, they say when it rains, it pours. I was going through breast cancer, I was going through a divorce, and I had a son that was being bullied at school where he was rushed by ambulance from school, sustained 2 concussions on different occasions because of the bullying. My oldest son has cerebral palsy, so he walks with a significant limp. So when he transitioned into high school, a whole lot of more kids kind of go into that school, and they didn't know him, and they started bullying him and beating him up like almost daily, 9 to 1, like it was terrible. So going through all that at one time, my son got frustrated. There's a zero tolerance policy here in Charlotte where if you are in a fight, you are suspended for 10 days. Doesn't matter if you fought back. Doesn't matter if it's 911. You're just suspended because you were in the fight. My son was suspended 4 times for 10 days in 1 year. Went from an AB student to failing. And I'm the type of mom that I go hard for mine. So I wasn't going to sit down and take it. It ended up being lawsuits. It was thousands and thousands of dollars. But in going through that, I'm handling it the way that I think is right. And I'm fighting for him. And it wasn't helping what was going on in the classroom and in the school and on the bus. So he got frustrated. He posted on social media, couldn't take it anymore, and he attempted suicide. Eventually, his cousin saw that post, and when she called her mom, he called me, we called 911. We got there, I said, "Break the door down, get him, find him." When I got there, I sat behind the ambulance for almost 20 minutes to see if they could revive him. We spent 3 days in a mental health facility, which is all my insurance would cover. And I was an executive at a bank here in Charlotte, and I thought I had great insurance. But I found out really quickly that although you have it, there's hoops you have to jump through in order to use it, because you can do so many visits of mental health services. But after that, you have to get so many doctors to say it's okay and all that. So it was just a lot going on at the same time, and I found myself, trying to find a babysitter for a 17-year-old who was scared to go to work and come home and that happened again. So I started telling my story on social media, and there were thousands of people just like me, about 5,000 people joined the Facebook group. That were experiencing the same thing. Like, I'm scared to go to work too because I don't want to have with my child. So I told a couple of them, we started babysitting each other's kids. And then I wanted to do more. I wanted to know what else can we do? How do we affect the child? Because it's not about whether I can go to work. It's how do I make that child feel more comfortable? How do I fix this? And it was more than counseling. Counseling isn't enough by itself. Because if you don't fix the bullying, and counseling is not going to be effective if you don't fix everything else. So you cannot do it disjointed. You cannot do it alone. It has to be wraparound services to hug that child and make it okay. And that's what I developed. I started using what my corporate experiences as a graphic analysis were. Hey, where's the problem? Where do we go? How do we fix it? And I analyzed the problem. This is what I came up with after research. And when I put it out there, it's grown into this amazing tool that needs to be out in the nation. And it has an output of businesses and people and parents and people that have been bullied before, pouring in and saying, how can I join this mission? Just that tough. And what we've come up with is literally a mobile app that I can 120 different organizations have a single sign on. And you go in and you get the counseling, the mentoring, the social emotional learning, you get life skills training, and even career development, all in one. Picking the things that are statistically related to suicide prevention and putting it together so we're wrapping those kids up in what they need to be successful in life.
Wow. And I saw a statistic that you sent me, Shonda, actually a while ago, that 20% of 15 to 24-year-olds have thought about committing suicide, and 9% of teens have actually tried to commit suicide. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes, that's accurate. The statistic that I sent is, this was a CDC study in 2020. The leading cause of death for individuals 10 to 24 is suicide. The second leading cause of death. 2020 to 2022, from 2019 to 2020, there were 65,000 children that committed suicide. And that's something you hear on the TV all the time. But right underneath that sentence is that 1.3 million attempted suicide. And the new study that came from 2022 is even higher. So what we're finding is that we have to do something. Isolation from COVID has impacted that. Social media impacts that. Kids are no longer having personal relationships with people. They don't interact person to person. So there's so many different things and different layers to what needs to happen to make sure that something is there. How do we teach kids to reach out when they're having those thoughts? And they recognize that as a problem. And then what do we do to be able to do that? And then we have to talk about the teachers and educators and the parents. Okay, especially in our community, because sometimes, oh boy, go sit down, you'll be all right. That's not the response. I mean, you can do that if you want to, but you mainly burying your child. So,
and I think that goes back to what I was saying, parents, grandmothers, grandfathers, uncles. I mean, pay attention, notice things. They can't be kind of in our own world. I mean, I get it, like I said, but we've got it. We have to have this kind of intentionality that says, let me just go ask, right? Let me just check. I mean, I don't know. We've got to have that. And Jeff, with that, and she, Shonda shared a little bit how does Dream Smart Behavioral Solutions tie in with that in the work that you do?
So our partnership is very powerful, because what Shonda's bringing to the table is the awareness of emotional health and mental health, and that's an important part of what she's bringing to the table. And what we find is when kids are isolated, when people are isolated, they tend to could have thoughts of self-harm. Right, I'll give you an example of this. My son was a student at the Air Force Academy in 2020. COVID broke out. They sent all of the students home except for the seniors. Right, and they put the seniors all in a room by themselves, where they had been working together over the last 5 years together to build community and camaraderie. They separated them, right, and put them in their own rooms, and they couldn't interact with each other. Within 10 days, brother, 2 people killed themselves. In 10 days. Because there wasn't a sense of community there, right? So what Dream Smart's bringing to the table is, when we start looking at a sense of identity, it really comes, we need to answer the question, who am I? Right? We have a tool that does that. We call it a behavioral superpower. right? Because we all have talent. So when we start with the foundation of answering the question, well, who am I? And you say Shonda is an adapter, Jeff Morse is a reflective thinker, a Dr. Greg Spencer is an initiator. Imagine when we tell this to young kids, and maybe for the first time they start to get affirmation of who they are. They start to get confirmation of who they are, or they get a revelation of who they are. And then we take it another step, brother, and we start answering the questions of, well, what am I gifted? What are my gifts? And what are my talents? And then what significant contribution can I make to the world based on my identity and my talents? Right then, who do I partner with to make my dreams come true? And Dream Smart Academy and Dream Smart Behavior Solutions is that one-stop shop where we start to give these behavioral insights, right? So that people level up, become their best selves. And that's why we're excited to partner with Shonda and our vision with that app.
That's incredible. I speak to young people. I actually just spoke to kids probably about 3 weeks ago. I get asked to speak to different schools, to the young people. And one of the things I share with them, I say, what's your blueprint? And a lot of them are like, huh? And I said, what's your blueprint? And I said, you guys know Jay-Z's album Blueprint? Now they know that, you know what I mean?
Right.
Even the young kids, even they weren't even born yet, know some of the songs on that. And I said, do you know when he was doing that album, The Blueprint, that he was facing 2 federal cases? He was the most dissed rapper at the time. I mean, everybody was dissing Jay-Z. All right. Sure. I mean, everybody. And Jadakiss, well, he disses everybody. But Jadakiss was like his biggest nemesis and Nas, right? He had all that going on, and he finished that album in about 9 days. Kanye West and another brother, that was kind of the producing debut. That song went on to be listed in the Library of Congress.
That's amazing.
And so that album, rather. And I tell kids, he did that album in 2 weeks. It doesn't take long to put a blueprint together. And then, but interestingly enough, one of the things you said, and I say when you're putting a blueprint, think about a house. You build a foundation. The foundation for your blueprint is you have to believe in yourself, and you have to love yourself. Those are the two. That's the foundation for the beginning of your blueprint. The second part of that are the measurements, right? You can't just build a house without the measurements. The measurements are, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses?
That's right.
Okay, you got to know that. And the last part of the blueprint are the features. What do you want on that house? What do you want in your life? What are the 5 things that you want? You want to be living in Miami. You want to be living abroad. You want to visit Paris. You want to do whatever. Write those down. So this is your blueprint. So now you got something to go back to when you feel like you're all killed. What did my blueprint say? Oh, I'm trying to get to Paris. Let me get my mess together, right?
That's right.
And I always tell them, what's your go-to song to get you pumped up? Of course, they didn't know anything about the time, right? So they were like, huh? I said, okay, I need to come up with a better, up-to-date example. I need to find another song. But I love what you said as far as knowing your strengths and weaknesses. So that's incredible. So Jeffrey, or Jonathan, I'm sorry, Jonathan.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're the VP. What role do you play in this, and how did you become a part of that?
Sean and I won't tell how long we've known each other, but we go back to college days.
Wow, 3 years. Okay, all right.
I accept that. She actually asked me to come along, and I was some videos for giving advice, speaking to the kids. And during that time, my wife and I, we had our own kind of situation with our son. And unlike Shonda's son, his was external, but my son's was internal. He has 2 older brothers who both play college football. So of course he plays high school football. And he, really works hard, really wants to be like his brothers. And him internalizing that, he had a situation one day at practice where he told one of his teammates that he wanted to commit suicide. And let me tell you something. When I got that phone call at work, and I had to go see my son and have my son committed, that was the most painful situation I ever had to go through, because the people at the hospital told me this. They said, Mr. Perry, If you sign this paper, we'll keep your child for 4 days. If you don't sign this paper, we're going to keep your child for 10 days. So they was going to keep my child regardless. And to give that up and say, I can't keep my child safe, somebody else has to, I've never felt that helpless before in my life. So when that happened and we went through that, it charged something inside of me to want to help Shonda even more. Because I know there's a lot of kids who, do have that external stuff, like they got the bullies here, or like you said, when they isolated the cadets. I can see that. But what about our kids who are fighting stuff internally, just trying to be the best that they can be? And, and you can tell them all day long, hey, man, you're doing a great job. But whatever they see in their mind, I can't see it. Yeah. Only they can. So you have to, so I do things with LCL, with social emotional learning, when we talk about, self-awareness, understanding where you are, and how things make you feel, self-management, what kind of things are you doing to manage that, social awareness, the people around you and whatnot. And two other things I like to add in there, is responsible decision making, making good choices, guys. Luckily my child made a good choice and spoke to somebody and they did the right thing. And the last piece is the biggest piece to me is relationship skills. I hate to use COVID as a crutch, especially as an educator. We hear it all the time. COVID is that. But it did open up some wounds where our kids are suffering from building that relationships. I don't know, that year and a half, almost 2 years, they missed something in there where we have to reteach them how to build those relationships with people, build relationships with strangers, and different things like that. I'm sorry, I get to rambling because my hands start moving.
No, it's good because I'm watching you here, but on my peripheral, I got my Facebook Live on my phone, and I keep seeing something moving. I kept looking over there, on my peripheral, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's him. Because I'm the same way, right? Like, I'm doing it now.
Yeah, I talk with my hands, especially when I get excited.
I love it. And you said something very key, my wife and I, we, part of our church, and we've got our sons and our daughter, but right now our youngest son, even our middle, all of our kids. But we had a great Sunday school program, right? And then we had a great Sunday school program, and then we had a great preteen program, and then we had a great teen program. And so my sons, my daughter and my son, but primarily our two sons, literally grew up with their friends from daycare, Sunday school, preteen, and teen ministry. And they were able to create those relationships. My son Cameron, who's in school in Florida, and his friend, now I'm drawing a mental blank. I've known this kid his whole life, and his parents. But they're still great friends to this day, right? My son Connor, his friends, Mylan, John Michael, Armin, they're friends to this day. When my son, he's at a private school, so his spring break is different than the public school spring break, right? So he was on spring break. He and I hung out Monday. We went out to the mall, did some shopping because he's killing it in school. And then Tuesday we went out to breakfast, and I said, "That's all I got, bro. That's all I got." I know you don't want to hang out with your man, but that's all I got. And so Friday. There was a teen event, and I called the parents. I said, "Hey, I'll pick up the kids, take them to the teen event, and I'm going to take them to the arcade, grab some food, play some video games." And they were like, so of course they're like, "Great, you can pick up the kids." I pick them up, drop them off. We then go to the arcade place. After 8 o'clock, it's 18 and up to keep all the young kids out. I'm like, man, I just found a parking space downtown, a block from here, and paid for the parking already. So we couldn't play the video games. We went to Friday. I called the parents, said, "Hey, after church, can I take the kids again? I'll bring them home." Man, when I tell you that arcade, we were there for about 2 or 3 hours. Man, it was like the relationships, right? The racing game, they were talking smack. And I thought to myself, man, how many kids don't have this? Right? And then it was different. The private school went through school all year round. They didn't even stop for COVID. Kids were in class. You know, and public school was like, oh no, we got to take them out. You know, all that political stuff. So Connor was ahead of a lot of the other kids. You know what I'm saying? But those relationships, if we can get back to that village where the parents are there, the kids are there, they got friends and everything, I think it could change a lot. You know, and I appreciate what you said as far as, you know, all you guys coming together for one good cause. You know, and Khalid, soon to be doctor, bro, you know, bring it together with that, man. Like the things that you see in what you do as a social worker and a mentor, and what we've seen in our youth today.
Wow, it's a lot to say, and it's a loaded question, but it's a real question, right?
Yeah.
Guys, our kids don't have the wherewithal that we had.
Mm.
I'm just going to be honest with you, and you all know it. You know, when we all were growing up, we were the good times kids, right? We watched, you know, Florida and James Evans and JJ and Thelma and Michael. And they had to survive to bring the dream, right? And everything that came towards them, right? But they was a family unit, and they came together. So then, James, what happened in co-host? What happened in September of 1984? What television came on that changed all of our lives? The Cosby Show. The Cosby Show told all of us that no, you don't have to struggle. You don't have to survive. You can make it. You can marry a doctor or a lawyer, and you can have wonderful kids who are thriving and smart and precocious and live in a brownstone and drive a luxury car and go to college. And then 3 years later, a different world premiere. And it's saying, oh my God, let me go to college and join a fraternity and a sorority and live that life. And what happened is we are Theo, you know, and you're Denise, right? And we gave our children that easy life. My daughter never had to get on a bus to go to nobody's school. She drove in a Cadillac to school every day. And what happened was, in giving them this wonderful life, because we know what it meant to struggle, and we didn't want our kids to struggle. They have thin skins. So what happens is I'm getting telephone calls every week, James and co-hosts, every week from my friends, because I'm in my mid-50s. So all of my friends, our kids are in their 20s. And I hear everything from Khalid, my 22-year-old daughter, had a nervous breakdown because her boyfriend broke up with her. Why? Because he slept with her best friend. Or Khalid, my kid came out the closet. Or Khalid, my kid quit college last semester before graduating. Or my kid can't sustain a job. And so when I'm talking to my friends and giving them wisdom and passing on clinical information and giving them names of, you know, therapists, I'm like, we got to kind of reformulate our children so that they can learn to have some type of wherewithal. And then remember, guys, we were in our 20s, depending on how old you are, when the cell phones came. And then we were in our 30s and 40s, maybe 40s, when the internet popped up and social media. We didn't deal with those things. So they have that kind of pressure. Our girls are hearing, you got to be Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B for boys to like you. And our boys got to hear, you got to be Drake, or you got to be, got to have 12 kids by 9 women like Mariah Carey's ex-husband.
Oh, Nick Cannon.
Nick Cannon.
Right? So our kids are hearing all kinds of things, and they have so many pressures, and we haven't really taught them how to navigate this. And so they want to take the easy route. So going forward with our testimony, James,
you
know, our guy. I've been with him since he was 12 years old. That's how I met James. And I was with him for 21 years as his therapist and mentor. And then on his 33rd birthday, he decided, I can't handle it no more.
Yeah.
And he left us. So I don't want to ever get that phone call, because it's one thing to talk about this, but when you know somebody you love and they commit suicide, remember, you can't ask no more questions behind it. You'll never know the why. I can't ever lose somebody through suicide again. So now that's my platform. That when people call me, and I get tired as a social worker, again, I get calls after hours, but I'll never turn down a call because I don't ever want to get that call again saying somebody you know and love decided that they was hurting, and they was hurting so bad and they killed themselves. And then we're seeing it's popular now. Look at Miss USA who killed herself last year. Regina King's son. People who you would think, wow, why would they hurt themselves? He had means, he had money. This woman was beautiful. Miss USA, a lawyer and an MBA, and jumped from the 29th floor. So our young people are dealing with a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We gotta do Google search and go to the library and research to know how we have to help our babies out here in the world.
Yeah, and thank you, Khalid. And it's true. I mean, and that's why I said our kids, the youth, and especially here in Chicago, and I'm pretty sure it's all over. But in Chicago, we've had a lot of our young people just kind of wilding out. I'm pretty sure it made national news. Anything in Chicago, for whatever reason, makes national news. I actually, I lived in Germany, and a few years ago, probably about when Rahm Emanuel was here, was that 4, whatever years ago, but 6, there was this. I mean, it was a summer of just unconscionable killing. And something told me there's a very popular newspaper in Germany called Der Spiegel. And I used to read it when I was in Germany, and something just told me, I wonder if this is, and I Googled Der Spiegel, and on the front page of a German newspaper, okay, German, was what was going on in Chicago. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And so when we fast forward, our young kids, and now we're dealing with kids who aren't even really being raised by anyone. I mean, they're just, I can do whatever I want, and they're taking other children's lives. A year ago, there was a 16-year-old who shot and killed a 15-year-old in cold blood and got caught. So the kid is gone, is dead, okay? And a neighbor was interviewed. He said it didn't hit home till you saw the police officer pick up the book bag, and the 16-year-old is serving life now, right? So gone, because they don't value their own lives, so therefore they don't value the lives of other people, and we've got to be able to figure out how do we fix that. In addition to them not valuing their own life, where they're going to take their life, and I think that's what I love about the Dad app. Sorry, I want to make sure I do it right. Dad app, right? You know what I mean? And that's what I love about the aspects of the Dad app, and what Jonathan and Jeff, you guys are doing, and what you bring to the table. And I want to get a chance. We're coming up on the break. We got about 4 minutes before we got to take a break. But real quick, Shonda, when we come back on the break, I want to talk about how people can use the app, okay? And, it's an app nationwide. Can anyone and anywhere use the app? Because if that's the case, Khalid, I want to make sure, we get on it and get it out there. But when we come back after the break, let's talk about the app and how it can help. We're going to talk about ways we can prevent suicide and how the app can help prevent suicide. So when we come back from the break, Jeff, I'd love for you to kind of share some things that Dream Smart Behavioral Solutions does. I know we touched on it briefly. And then Jonathan as well, what you're doing with that app as far as how we can prevent this. We've got, I always say, we've got to be intentional. As Black people, we've got to be intentional for our community. The cavalry isn't coming. and you can't blind white people enough for anything to get changed. We have to do something in our communities. We have to become those pillars and not the Cardi B's and the Megan Thee Stallions. I got nothing against them. You know what they're doing? They're doing what they're being paid to do. But the sad part about it is that the long-term effect. Okay, when you've got right, you know what I mean, to be able to, one of the things I like about Chris Tucker, when he didn't do Friday 2 or Second Friday, whatever, it wasn't Friday 2, what was it, Next Friday? He didn't do Next Friday because he didn't want to portray somebody who does drugs like he did in the first one, because something hit him where, hey man, these young people may see this and think that's okay, right? And something hit him, and he turned down the money. He turned down the opportunity because of what can happen. And you got a lot of people out there who are like, dude, if Cardi were to say, I can't go there and not talk about shaking my butt and everything else, my whole career is over. I've built my career on that. She's not going to change that. It doesn't matter how much money. She's not going to change that. These rappers, I'm just talking about with my lifestyle and whatever. Okay, well, what are you doing to fix it? You're just talking about everything, but you're not talking about what you changed. One thing I like about Ice Cube, he talked about all that mess, but he has a song, shoot, and I forgot the name of it. I've been playing it too, but he says, hey man, get your live your life. So he's talking about going away from that. I'll find the song when we come back from the break. That's what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, he did all the whatever, F the police and yo, I got something to say. And then he has this song with one of the Bone Thugs and Harmony guys about, hey man, get your life, do something different, live your life. So we're at not 10. We're on the time. We got WVON got to pay some bills. My engineer looking at me like, yo, what? So when we come back, we're going to talk about that app and how we can use that to help prevent child suicide. Okay, WVON family, we'll be back after these messages. Great job, guys. Ooh, that was awesome. All right. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that app. That's so cool. Just now I'm getting it. That app. Where that at? That app at? Where that? You got to get a rapper to make a song about that. That app.
Somebody.
That app. You got to save your life with that app. Okay, I'm not a rapper. When we come back, we'll talk about that. Jeff kind of jump in with, hey, here's some things that we can do to prevent this. And Jeff, Jonathan, the same thing. And then Khalid, let's just come up, a couple solutions and things that we can do intentionally as a community, as parents, as grandparents. And we'll round this out. The video, our interview will be on YouTube. I'll send you guys the link. I'm going to check it out again, and then I'm going to share it again with our streaming video family. And then Shonda and Jonathan, I'm going to interview you guys for that app. I understand. I know you got to go, man. I understand, brother. All right, man. Thank you, Khalid. I thought you were signing up. Okay, yeah. And so when Jeffrey, Jeff, I don't know why I want to keep calling you Jeffrey. I'm sorry, Jeff. Jeff, we'll talk after the show. All right, guys. So we got about a good 5 minutes. All right. So we got to take a break, drink some water.
Hey James, can you pull up any song?
In downtown Austin several years ago, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Daniel Perry was a rideshare driver at the time. It says he unknowingly turned out to the protest and it made its way through the streets of his city.
James, can you hear me?
Waving an assault rifle, Perry was scared for his life. Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott has vowed to push for a pardon.
Yeah.
A black woman who works at Dollar Tree is dead. Police
say. Can you pull up a song called "Pain Talk" by the Real?
I can't hear you now. Hold on, real quick.
Indianapolis store from a former co-worker settled this, police say.
Yeah.
Have ex-worker 21-year-old Jalen Thomas in custody for murder. Like people maybe should not get their hopes up for a reparations check as recommended by the California Reparations Task Force. The idea is reportedly getting a cool response from California Governor Democrat Gavin Newsom. Newsom appears to be tempering expectations of blacks getting as much as $1.2 million, saying reparations is much more than cash. State Senator African-American Stephen Bradford says reparations likely would be in the form of education, housing, and other resources. President Obama, imagine if he just walked in. He talking to Chicago high school students who thought it was just a normal day. He talked with the teens involved with the group Guitars Over Guns in the Bronzeville neighborhood. He brought money too, a $15,000 donation from Obama's My Brother's Keeper Alliance. People are particular about their names, and a black woman would not let a white host on a British TV show get away with it. Terrible. Dr. Shola Mas Shabam Ibu made the woman say it, or at least try to, several times, making for some very awkward moments. I'm Vanessa Tyler with Mike Stevens on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network. Early screenings matter. Be sure to stay up to date on all of your health screenings while also learning about the risk factors. That's your healthy reminder.
That's what it takes to change statistics. The Office of Firearm Rights organizations are offering free programs for youth violence prevention, including sports and recreation, cultural and arts, STEM learning, life skills education, positive adult mentors, and employment opportunities and training. The time is now to reimagine your future. Visit dhs.illinois.gov/reimagine to find programs in your area. The ATL in the house. Metro. Oh, yes, Chicago. You saw me when I was in the White House, dressed so fresh and so clean. When I wore the pantsuit, they didn't know what to do with themselves. They tried to put me out for wear and tear.
On Monday, May 15th, Chicago will welcome Brandon Johnson as its 57th mayor, and WVON and Vaughn TV will be there to capture it all. Listen to live coverage of Mayor Johnson's inauguration, Monday, beginning at 9 a.m. with a special broadcast hosted by WVON's Rufus Williams and Matt McGill. Or you can watch the inauguration live on Vaughn TV. Thanks to our streaming partner, CBS2 Chicago. It's a day of celebration. Congratulations, Mayor Brandon Johnson. You've made our city proud.
The following message is brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The inherent right to work is one of the elemental privileges of a free people. Endowed, as our nation is, with abundant physical resources, and inspired as it should be, with a high purpose to make those resources and opportunities available for the enjoyment of all, we approach this problem of reemployment with the real hope of finding a better answer than we have now.
Your stuff can be more powerful than you think. Your stuff can be a resource for change. Donate to Goodwill, where your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org.
I'm Selma, and I'll be your server this evening. The special is pasta primavera, and it comes with a salad. Oh, and by the way, I abuse my children. Lots of times I beat them for even the smallest reason. When they really get on my nerves, I lock them in the closet for a few hours.
If only child abuse was this easy to recognize, perhaps then more people would report it. If you even suspect abuse, call Child Help at 1-800-4A-CHILD or visit www.childhelp.org. We've helped millions of people help millions of children, and we can help you. All calls are anonymous and confidential. So remember, 1-800-4A-CHILD or visit www.childhelp.org. Child Help. Trust your instincts. Public service message brought to you by Child Help and the Ad Council.
May is Health Awareness Month, and the Talk of Chicago is your primary care radio station. Healthy reminders and medical experts all month long. Only on WVON. From the Xfinity Studios at WVON, we are the Talk of Chicago, 6090 WVON.
This is music for us. Favorite girl. I say, it's from heaven. Yeah. All right, WVON family, welcome back to the 1921 radio show. Welcome back. Just a little pick you up song, because that was the jam back in the day, and it's still, I mean, you could play this song 10 years tomorrow. I mean, my goodness. And I think that song came out 87, 88, or maybe. Bum, 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 bum. I can't remember, but it was dope. Hey, did you guys get my information there? I want to make sure it came through the chat. Okay, good. WVON family, welcome back. We're talking about it's Mental Health Awareness Month for the month of May, and we're talking about youth suicide and how we can prevent it. We have an incredible panel of guests on right now, and an app that we can share with our young people to help prevent it. So as we get ready to wind this down here, we're going to talk about how we can prevent, ways that we can prevent youth suicide. And so, Shonda, tell us about the app, how it works, how we can prevent that. Jeffrey, excuse me, Jonathan, jump in with that, because I know you're working some things you're doing, and then Jeff will round it out with you, sir.
Sounds good.
So I'll jump in and start off. The app is not in the App Store as of yet. We had to take it down in order to put it back up with the same name with the new enhancements. But that will be coming out this fall. What we're doing now is getting that partnership together of other businesses, organizations, mental health agencies, and seeing where can we start this. We did it in Charlotte. It's successful. Now where else can we expand it? But what I would like to point out about the app is a lot of times we have conversations about the causes. That narrative, it is not about talking about it. What this app does, it kind of answers also how can we prevent it, because this app is a great way for it. Honestly, this is the answer. What this is we come in and we looked at and analyzed and done the research, and the research already done about what are those causes and how do we address them. And then we put all of those things together in one single point access. So when they log into the app, they're getting access to a mentor, access to a counselor, access to career education. It's not talked about very often that there is a Journal of Medicine study that shows a correlation between lower suicide risk when we have more education and career paths. So what we've done is train personal skills, give them self-discovery, smart, smart power skills. You learn how to have those interactions. How do you relate to your mom, your dad, and then turn that into how do we have suicide prevention strategies? I think that's smart. What do I do? What are the anti-suicide strategies to stop the thought process? Thinking out loud and saying something positive is a way to immediately stop that. So we're supercharging the career exploration with these life skills and things of that nature. We've looked at what those causes are, whether they're external or whether they're internal. Because it is the pressure that you already feel. So we're looking at how do you address those things too. We're also looking at things like social media. There's actually an entire course that talks about how to evaluate what you see online. Is it real? Is it fake? Is it embellished? So that we can learn how to navigate those things, and then you don't stop there. Because one thing that people are also talking about, I think earlier this year, we had 200 school shootings in the nation this year. This year in 2023, there have been 200. But what we don't look at is many times, and not all, but many times, a school shooting situation is suicide because they don't want to do it themselves. They want to take someone out with it, and they don't want to come out of that. So how do we protect our kids inside that school? I'm tired of seeing on the news, oh, this kid was a loner. We saw this and we saw that, and that's always too late. But if we teach peer support strategies in the schools, then the first line of defense is the children, not to intervene and do anything and put yourself in danger, but what are those red flags? Make sure they know what those red flags are, and how do you talk to a teacher, counselor, or someone before it happens. So those are things that we do with data, but we do not stop there. We then say, okay, now let's look at this career path. So you took your survey, you get your career talents, and you understand what you might want to be interested in, and then you explore that self-paced in the library of resources that different organizations have donated to this cause. But what we've created by putting those things together in that manner and in that order is a literal pathway to success in lower suicide. So we always talk about the end goal. We talk about giving them a vision. Where do I want to go in life? What is my blueprint? But after the blueprint, you need a roadmap, and that's what we've created.
It's interesting. There was an incident here in Chicago where a young black girl, I think she was a sophomore or junior, was in class and kept talking on the phone. The teacher, who was black and male, kept asking her to get off the phone. She refused. She then calls down to the dean. The dean sends the security up. The teacher says, I want her out of the class. She refuses to let go of the desk. So the guy is like, come on, let's go. She grips the handle of the desk, like, I'm not moving. Okay, now, security, he's doing what he's been trained to do. He's necessary to get her out of that class, right? So it makes the news because, and then, white security officer drags black, it's just crazy. Okay, so I went back and looked. The story afterwards was this young girl lived with her grandmother. Her grandmother died, and so she's going through all these emotions. And yet the counselor didn't say anything. The teacher didn't ask. We're just ready to throw these kids away. You know what I mean? Like before that security guard, that should have already come out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, whoa!
But not only that, but can we teach children self-advocacy so that in the moment, can we teach them how to articulate that?
Sure. That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. Go ahead, John.
I just, before we start getting on our teachers now, let's never forget our teachers have to deal with things as well. Our teachers are human beings too. We don't know what's going on in their teacher's life outside of their school. Are they going through a divorce? Are they going through a loss of a loved one? And so on and so forth. So when you start talking about human beings, sometimes things can fall through the cracks, and we do need to tighten up on how we can mend those cracks so they won't fall through. All right. I'm sorry. I got on my, we started talking about teachers and stuff. I get personal with that.
I believe you, brother. But that's what I'm saying is that a lot of this could have, and this isn't the teacher. I'm talking about how come the counselor, and again, maybe she didn't tell anybody her grandmother died. I'm pretty sure some people knew, right? But maybe she didn't say it. But this is where we've got to figure out how do we bridge that, because that could have been prevented. Hey, so-and-so, her grandmother just died. She's feeling a lot of things. She may do some things. It's because of what happened. All right. Then the teacher would know. But no one communicated that until afterwards. And now we're bringing in this big security guard to get her out of the class.
To do his job.
Now, what I would have done was, okay, you don't want to get up. Okay. I just would have pushed the desk out with her in the desk. You know what I'm saying? But that's hindsight is 20. This guy has been trained to do whatever it takes to dissolve and resolve a situation, right? And so we've got to figure out that part. And I think, China, you hit it on the getting the kids to communicate. One of the things I ask my kids, are you happy? How are you feeling? I'm feeling good, Dad. Okay, how you really feeling? Do you need anything? And things like that. We've got to ask these questions. They sound corny, but we've got to ask them. Go ahead, Jonathan.
But that's a part of that SEL, that social emotional learning.
I love that.
And what you're talking about is called self-awareness, where you ask that question, I can be aware of myself. And during that SEL, during that social emotional learning, you learn how to articulate those things like, I'm not feeling good today. Even if you don't know why you're not feeling good, you can do that. So getting those things in the place and getting those infrastructures in the place definitely will help. Definitely will help.
Okay. And we got to figure out how to get. I mean, it's a tall order because we've got different schools with different systems and different programs and different this and different that. How do we build that outside the school when you got maybe a single mom and she's working 2 or 3 jobs trying to make the bills and she doesn't have time to the phone. Yeah, I hear you, brother. Go ahead, Jeff.
This is how we gonna change the paradigm, because we gotta meet kids where they're at. The school can't do it. If the school could do it, they would already have done it and continue to do it. When we have this type of tool and the ecosystem that we're putting together, we change the paradigm for how we access real-time information. Right, I'm gonna give you 3 key words because I know we got to leave here soon, but I'm gonna give you the key word of behavioral identity. Behavioral superpowers identity. We say there's 2 great days in a person's life. Right? It says, I think I lost you there. It says there's 2 great days in a person's life: the day that you were born and the day that you discover your behavioral superpowers identity. Why? Because it gives you your behavioral fingerprint, the blueprint that you call it. It's going to answer those 4 questions of who am I, why am I, how am I, and what am I? When we can give them this sense of significance, we can give them the sense of self-efficacy and confidence. Now we're starting to see, that we can start to be able to reduce things like suicide. The second word is community. Get a community that affirms, confirms, or reveals things to you. And that's the thing that we're missing when we start thinking about isolation and suicide and ascribing value to people. Is what communities do we need to be placed in with intention and keep there to be supported? And that's what we're doing with that app. And the last thing I'm gonna leave with you is being resilient, right? We don't teach our kids resilience. Life ain't gonna be fair. You're gonna get punched in the mouth, you're gonna get kicked in the teeth, and life's gonna ask you, what are you gonna do now? Right. So it's about being able to give them a sense of confidence, this efficacy to say, hey, when I get punched in the mouth, I got to get back up. When I get kicked in the teeth, I got to get back up. Life ain't gonna be fair, and I got to expect that. Through all of those things, what we learn in our generation is we have to be resilient. So some of those keywords there, man, can't wait to share more in a later edition with what we're gonna do. But excited to be here, brother. Good stuff.
Wow, this is great. I mean, we literally can keep going. But we have other guests coming on. I know they're looking at me like, "Hey, dude, hey,
Right.
I told my family I was gonna be on the radio, man, at 10:25."
Right.
But I always tell them, hey, keep your head on the swivel, man, because we don't know how long this may go. But first of all, I want to thank you guys, Shonda. Man, it was great to kind of finally get a chance to do something with that app. We're going to talk some more. John, nice meeting you, brother. I love it, man. I want to talk to you some more because I got some ideas that I want to implement in schools, you know. And then Jeff, man, I got to, you know, I'm gonna interview all you guys. You guys are all gonna be featured on the radio website, man. So please, you got my email address, you got my cell. Let's talk some more solutions, man. And I'm about to get a media platform that will reach all over. So I want to make sure that we're connected and tied so that we can get this out because you know, it's out there, right? And I don't want after the young man that Khalid and I have been, you know, mentoring and whatever. After he went through a lot, he grew up with trauma. You know, I mean, he did. He just and you know, and it's his mother was on whatever, and his mother had gone viral in the video of he was on high on something, and he was like, you know, it was hurting him. He was like, stop sharing that. That's my mom. It's just hurting me. And people, you know, wondering, and they kept sharing it. And then eventually, you know, that and other stuff, you know, got his degree. I mean, but that right there, how he grew up, you know, and so that was, you know, and we don't know, right? We don't know. We know that had something to do with it. And so I want to be able to get in and how can we get this at the root? And I think that app is going to do it. And I'm going to talk to people I know. We're going to get a couple million behind this thing or whatever. Okay? We're going to kick the fundraiser off. We're going to talk about that later. Let me get off the phone because I got my other guests waiting on me. I can get going. Anything to do with the youth, we've got to be in there because they are going to be leading us.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so I want to make sure I had a say in that. Okay.
Yeah,
I want to make sure that I had something to say about that bad boy. You know what I mean? So anyway, guys, thank you. It was a pleasure meeting. Well, I already know you got me. It was a pleasure meeting you two brothers. All right.
Jonathan,
let's keep it going. You got my information.
Thank you so much.
I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing, bro.
All right, you too, brother. Thank you. I love that SEL, man. I love that. I love those points. Okay, let me stop because I love what you said too, brother. All right, guys. I'm done. You guys have a good night.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right. All right, WVON family and Facebook family. We got a very, very special guest coming up right now. If you've heard of Eric Roberson, Chained for Me, yeah. If you've heard of Every Sunshine, I can't think of a song off the top of my head. And some other artists, you're meeting the brother who just put together a series. There he is, right there. There he is, right there. Let WVON family and Facebook and YouTube. There the brother is. We're gonna talk about the soul indie journey with John Joyner. Did I say that right? Yeah, John Joyner. Not to be confused with Tom Joyner, the fly jock. Okay, not to be confused. No relation. John, welcome to the 1921 show, man. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
We're doing great, man. We're doing great. So, brother, I loved what's today? Tuesday night. I think it was Tuesday night.
Right.
I loved it, man. Eric Roberson is that guy. Will Downing is that guy. All right. And you are that guy who put it all together. All right. So tell us a little bit about Indie Soul Series, Soul Journey, and where did it come from?
So, yeah, first of all, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate being on with you tonight.
Absolutely.
Indie Soul Journeys basically started with me kind of coming up with the concept just from a fan, right? Mm-hmm. This all began, I want to say, back in 2014. Okay. For some years prior to that, you know, I had really kind of been taking a deep dive into the world of independent soul music. I was kind of shepherded into that world, if you will, by a wonderful brother here in the Chicago area by the name of Dwayne Powell.
Okay.
who quite a few music fans around the city will know. Dwayne had been kind of introducing me to a lot of great music, a lot of amazing artists who you probably normally wouldn't hear on your traditional radio shows and video shows and things of that nature back then, in that time when those types of things were kind of paramount, kind of king. Um, and I was loving what I was hearing. And just as a fan, it's really fascinated me that first and foremost that I hadn't heard of these artists before being introduced to them through Dwayne, and kind of then jumping into it and hearing and seeing all of these amazing things. And I said, man, more people need to hear about this. More people need to know who these guys are, who these ladies are. And me being the wide-eyed optimist that I am, man, I said I'll be the one to do it, right? So I started back in 2014. No training at the time at all whatsoever as a filmmaker to come up with a project, a platform, if you will, that kind of showcased all of these artists and their art. So even though I didn't possess those skills to do it, what I did do, which is smart, it was to surround myself with individuals who possessed the skills that I lacked, who did have the technical know-how as filmmakers and writers and all of those things that you need to put a project like this together. And eventually it all grew into what became Indie Soul Journeys, which is a television docuseries.
Man, I love the name, man. I mean, Indie Soul Journeys, because in and of itself, man, when you're on that journey,
yes,
right, that soul journey, it's independent anyway.
Yes.
It's you. You have to, when you go on these, it's about you. You've got to find yourself. And I think what I loved about the Eric Roberson piece, the very first one, and it was great getting a sneak peek at it, and I can only imagine what the rest are going to be like. I can't even wait. Was the fact that he had to go on his own journey when he got the news, right? And I don't want to spoil it. You got to watch it. And we'll talk about that in a second.
Yes.
But he had to go on that journey by himself. Even when you're married, even when you have whatever, there are certain journeys that it is you. And you have to go on, right? I fight that every week. You know what I mean? I'm like, I got so much going on, I got to make sure, with 1921 Co-working Incubator, the apps are moving forward, right? I got to make sure that stuff is going. I got to make sure 1921 Radio is going. I got to do this every Thursday. It's so funny. I know it's every Thursday, but every Thursday morning, I'm like, oh, dang, I got to do the radio show tonight, right? You know what I mean? The guests hooked up, and everybody, I'm on that journey, man, all the time sometimes, man, just like getting it right. And on top of that, my job, my wife, my kids, making sure everybody is taken care of.
Right. And that's really at the root of Indie Soul Journeys, man, is the fact that, everybody kind of has this dream, this passion, this vision for themselves. And it's all about doing what you have to do to make those things in a reality for yourself. Like speaking to Eric, who, again, like you say, everybody will, watch the episode, God willing, and learn out more on their own. But just to share a little bit about it, this is a brother that at 19 years old got signed to a major label deal. Was always hugely into music and singing and had that passion, and seemed at the time to be right well on his way. Dropped a single, that top 40 R&B single, and everything was headed in the right direction. Label drops it, and fortunately after that, after some hustling, gets signed to another label. That label drops him. So it's like, now what? What do I do? How do I pursue this dream? How do I pursue this passion? How do I find this way to kind of get this thing that's been in me out of me, and to be able to express who I am through this art? So, and then people will learn about it. He had his way of doing that. But yeah, I think anybody can identify, and it's not just music. Everybody has whatever it is inside of them that they're passionate about, that they're wanting to pursue. And the thing that we want people to take away from stories that they'll see with the Indie Soul Journey series is that it's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. There're going to be challenges. You're going to run into these obstacles, these hurdles, like Eric did, and like our other artists who will be featuring throughout season 1 run into. but it's about making a way out of no way. It's about pursuing that dream and that passion, um, in spite of all of these obstacles, learning how to jump those hurdles and continue to push forward, to push and do whatever you have to do to pursue those dreams. I myself, just in getting this project done, it ended up being my own personal indie journey, if you will, and getting this thing done. I started this out, like I told you, I didn't have any technical training, and I had never done anything in film and television before. So I knew that whatever I did and however I pulled this off, I was going to have to be the one that supplied the engine for that dream. So I financed this whole thing out of my own pocket. And to do that, I had to ask my mom if I could move back into her basement. I gave up my apartment. I gave up all of my possessions. All I kept was my little car so I could get my kids to school and 2 bags of clothes. And every dollar that didn't go to my children went to this drink, went to this project. And here 9 years later, it's about to become a reality. And there were a heck of a lot of challenges in that. But when you're serious about something, when you're just pushed and motivated to that point to pursue something, that ultimately are the kind of decisions and choices that you may have to make in order to see it happen. I don't want nobody to go out there and give up their house or anything like I did, but those were my choices. You know what I mean? Those were my decisions along my journey that I had to make, and everybody will have some type of hurdles and obstacles in front of them to jump. But if you really want it, then these are the things you have to do to get beyond it.
And you're right. It's not even just music, right? I mean,
Right.
This is life. When you want to start a business, if you're an entrepreneur, I teach an entrepreneurship class. I try to talk people out of it in the first class. They pay for the class. They literally will get a refund.
Right.
After I tell them, here's what it's like to try and start your own business. And I break it down. I mean, you got the right personality, woo. And then I say, who wants to keep going?
Right.
If you don't, you can get a full refund. Because why? Because it is an independent journey. This is the vision. And if you're compassionate about it, however you view things, whether it's God, a higher power, an inner whatever, that's yours.
Right.
Right. You can't get mad when other people, don't jump on board right away. I had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That when other people don't jump on board, you were given this vision, not them. And it is an indie soul journey for you. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I totally agree with you. I remember years ago, my mom told me, don't ever expect anybody else to be more excited and more passionate about your vision than you. She said, it's not theirs, it's yours. Exactly what you just said. And so you need to be prepared to see that thing through, whether those people are excited about it or not, whether those people remain on board with you or not. Because that's the thing. You're going to have people that maybe in a moment you'll find they'll get excited about it, but because it's not theirs, that excitement may wane in them, and then they'll jump right back off board, even though they were on board. And you got to find your way to keep your vision alive, to keep that drive going, to keep that fire burning. So you're absolutely right, man, and that's a lot of what people will get out of this Sunday story and other stories that will follow behind it in the other episodes that we're telling on Indie Soul Journeys. These were artists that found a way to continue on even when everything was being thrown in their path and everything was telling them to turn back around. These cats kept going, man, and that's what it's all about.
You got us good with the little teaser, man, at the thing, man. I'm just curious, how did you pick the particular artist?
Again, going back to that whole deep dive that I did, that Dwayne Powell led me on, man, and you find out who um, these artists are, and you learn more about their stories just as a fan, right? Like Eric was widely considered, and still is, quite frankly, called the quote unquote king of indie soul, right? His career has really kind of been used as a blueprint for other artists in the past 20, 25 years who have kind of followed behind that, whether they know it or not, right? And following in the trail that he blazed. So it was clear and obvious that he had to be the first artist out the gate that we talked to, that whose story that we pursued to tell. and then just in doing that, and you're finding out more about other artists and everything that they've been through, and how they fit the mold of the overall theme that we wanted this show to kind of to be about. So that was really how we chose, like, what type of stories are we trying to tell? What are the takeaways that we want an audience to have from these stories? And then kind of finding artists within that independent soul music community whose stories kind of match up with what we believe and what we want people to feel, and to draw away from the stories that we tell through the series. So that was one of the main ways that we kind of went about identifying the individuals that we worked with.
Now, there were some artists on there that I, sadly didn't know. I mean, Avery Sunshine, everybody knows her, right?
Right,
I mean,
right.
and I'm not saying everybody doesn't know whatever. I mean, but Eric Roberson, Avery Sunshine, and then a couple I didn't know. Were there people that you had to turn away? I mean, like, how did you settle on? Is it 4 or 5?
It'll be 6 total.
6. Okay.
6 total stories that we'll tell season 1.
Okay. How did you settle on just 6? I mean, there's so many artists out there.
Yeah. So our broadcast partner, WTTW, PBS here in Chicago, when we initially pitched it to them, and they saw the footage that we had, and they greenlit, say, yeah, we want to work with you guys. They kind of helped guide us, if you will, in terms of, hey, let's start out the gate with these many episodes, with these artists, not them choosing the artist per se, but they kind of said, let's start out the gate with this number to kind of give the audience an idea of who you are, and to see about, gaining and building an audience. And then once we know we have that, we'll come back in the next season and bring more stories and do more with the series. So that was one of the main things that kind of helped us put that cap on it. Because what you're basically alluding to is that, yes, there are a lot of stories that can be told, and God willing, we'll get the opportunity to tell many more stories in seasons to come, after we get through season 1 here. Because there are a lot of people who've chosen this path, that I believe and my team believes that the fans need to hear about and know about it, and hear their art, hear their music, and hear their stories, and hopefully be motivated and inspired by those stories.
Well, I mean, I think just even in the teaser clip that we saw, the young lady who was like, filling out an application, and the person recognized her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and but it's interesting because it's not even just independent artists. I remember the guys, the Mac brothers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Roses are red.
Yeah. Great
They
song.
tell this Doug Banks, the late Doug Banks,
rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Was telling a story how he was they had some music whatever thing going on in another city, and one of the brothers was working at the hotel.
Wow.
And told them and say, hey man, me and my brother, we're going to be singers one day.
Right.
And Doug was like, okay, I hear that all the time. Oh, absolutely. Hey, go right ahead. And next thing you know, he's playing their records on the radio show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so obviously we haven't heard anything from the Mac brothers since the 80s, late 80s, and maybe a couple of 90s. But even with that, and even with there's so many artists that could I'm just waiting for season 10. You know what I mean? Like who are you going to interview for season 10? Because deciding to be an independent artist, it's risk there.
Yeah.
Right? Like Eric was saying, I'm trying not to tell when he was talking from the stage of how, hey man, they're giving out $500,000, bro. Boom. And he was like, control, baby, control. Imagine Prince right now.
Right.
If the opportunity for independent artists, Prince would, and he actually did that.
Yes.
Prince was like, no, I'm not putting it on iTunes because they don't pay you anything. I'm not putting on this. You can go to my website directly.
Right.
You
know what? I'm glad you mentioned Prince, because that's an artist who, unbeknownst to most fans, was a huge supporter and fan himself of independent artists and a lot of independent soul music artists. Quite frankly, it would not shock me if Prince, God will, rest in peace, if he was still here with us, knew extensively everybody that we're featuring, because he was a crate digger like that. He was a supporter of that whole concept of idea of owning your music, owning your art, being a champion for your art, and not having these other outside entities can say that control what you want to say, how you want to say it, how it's packaged and distributed to the world. We all saw that battle that he went through with the record labels when he was going through what he was going through, and he dropped his name and became the artist for a little while. That's what that was about. It was about taking ownership of who you are and not allowing anybody to take that away from you. So that's a perfect kind of example of really what kind of lies at the crux of these artists that we'll be talking about and talking with their passion and what lies at the center of who they are. You know, it's all about being able to pursue your dream and pursue your passion. Eric makes a comment in the trailer where he says he's able to do the music that he sees and hears in his head without compromise, and how he wouldn't change that for the world. That's, I mean, every artist wants to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's such a struggle when, you know, when you're working with people around you who don't get that, who don't support that and feed that, you know. So, but we're talking about artists who found a way to be able to do that for themselves and are surrounded by individuals who feed that part of them. And it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing when you can walk in your own truth and be surrounded by people who support that. So that's what we want to do with this show.
And not only walk in your own truth, but be comfortable in that, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of people who are walking their own truth and still second guessing.
Yes.
Because of what happened when they made this decision or that decision, right?
Right.
But to see artists walk, I mean, the fact that he was like, hey man, if I decide I wanted to go home, you know what I'm saying? Be with my kids, I can.
Right.
Right.
And that's the thing, ain't it? I mean, you know, those doubts never go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, but it's about whatever choice that's made, it's my choice.
Yeah.
You know, whatever the outcome here, I'm the one who gets final say over that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's at the root of that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Those doubts are there, but hey, whatever happens, I'm gonna be the one to make it happen.
I'm gonna be the one, yeah. And it's like I tell entrepreneurs, I'm like, you know, if you rise, you made a good decision.
Right.
If you fall, you still made a good decision. It just didn't work out.
It just didn't work out. And you learned something.
And you learned something, right? In one of my classes, I teach, you know, that failure is not the opposite of success.
Right.
It's part of the success.
Amen.
All right. And so, and it's interesting how you talk about that. Erykah Badu, I heard this incredible interview. You know, when she first came out, she gave this new life of you know, with the head wraps and the, you know, whatever. And she said that was all the record label.
Right.
You know, that the beauty of, like you said, with Eric being in your own truth, that she was like, that wasn't even really me.
Right.
Right. That was the record label saying, I want you to dress like this and do like this and sing like this. Because we understand, and I think a lot of independent artists understand that for the company, it's about the money.
Yeah.
It's not about, you know, the art.
No, not first and foremost. Right? No. Yeah.
And Prince even said that.
Right.
You know, they don't know anything about music. You know what I mean? They don't know anything about, you know what I'm saying? I was like, Prince was just laying it out. All they're concerned about is the money. They don't know anything about writing, you know, the music, the feeling, how an artist writes. And I think what I love about independent artists is, oh, you went dark there.
Yeah, I'm coming. Here, I'm sorry.
That's right. And I think what I love about independent artists and what you're doing, it sheds a light on what that independence really looks like. And they share what that independence, you know, feels like as well.
Yes. Yes. And that's the thing, man. It's having an opportunity to express that and get people to see that.
Hear you.
I'm sorry. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Can you hear me better now?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry about that. A little technical difficulty over here.
It's all right.
But yeah, it's about having an opportunity to just kind of express that however they best need and want to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good thing that Erykah shared that with the people, so people understand the truth of that.
Yeah.
You know, this is who I was. This is who I was forced to be in order to get myself into this game. But now I've grown to a status where I don't have to do those types of things anymore. And what you're getting now speaks more truthfully to who I am as an artist.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a constant struggle, man, whether you're talking major or indie, being able to have your art be a true representation of who you are. I mean, that's, you know, whether it's film, television, music, whatever, man, that's, as artists, that's the thing that motivates most of us to do what we do. We've had to make a lot of decisions in terms of how we tell these stories, in terms of what we will and won't do, where do the compromises lie, you know, and I've made some very firm decisions about how these stories will be told and how they won't be told, because number one, first and foremost, people have trusted us to tell their stories, to be the stewards of their stories, and I take that very seriously.
That's serious.
That's number one. And number two is, once this stuff is out in the world, it's out there. There's no taking it back. So before I do that, before we as a team do that, I want to make sure that I'm putting something out into the world that I feel good about, that I can stand behind and say, this is a representation of what I envisioned in this thing almost 10 years ago when I began this journey. And that's what's happened. When people see that Eric episode on Sunday night, they'll see exactly what I always envisioned. When I said this is what I wanted to do with this types of stories and with this type of art. So whether people love it or not, that's, hey, at that point, that's on you. But I feel good about it because it came out the way that I wanted it to come out, and it's telling these stories in a way that I can feel good about and rest easy about. And you know that every artist wants that. Every artist wants to know that once it's out there, I can stand behind it, man, because this is a true representation of who I am and what I envisioned the minute this seed was planted in my head. So, and that's a good feeling. That's a good feeling.
Well, let me tell you, I know the one with Eric, man. Good gracious, people were just like, "Ooh!" I mean, it was, you know, it's, and I think, you know, when you look at I was on Instagram, so I follow a number of artists, right? And then you know, you get that little, oh, so and so is live, right? And so I don't even know how I was following Cardi B. And when the first part on Instagram, I just started following everybody, right?
Right.
Because in order to leave a message or DM them, I think you got to follow them, you know, and I was looking for investors, right? And I'm like, you know, she probably throwing money away. Hey, throw me, you know, $500,000. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'll actually turn that around. I'm not even asking for it for free.
Right.
I'll give you some. So that's one of the main reasons why I was following her, to see if, you know, and so I'm following, and then it says, oh, Cardi B goes live. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good time to, like, I can send a message because they may read it, right? And man, you know, it was just crazy, man. It was bizarre, man. She was all over the place, man. You know what I mean? She was like, you know, I was like, oh my goodness, you know, and I'm like, how much of that is actually really her, right? Like, this is her, what she has to put out there. You know, Nicki Minaj was very quick to say, hey, look, there's Nicki Minaj, and then there's, you know, her real name, right? Nicki is this, because why? That's what the producers and her handlers, and they said, you know, you got to act like you got different personalities, you know, and blah, blah, you know, and you think about that, and then it's just kind of like, when do you, and I think what I loved about Eric, what he said was, you come to a realization, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's not who I am.
Yeah. I think the thing that I definitely want people to understand when they watch this episode on Sunday is the individual that you're seeing on that screen, the individual that you feel like you're gaining an understanding of, that's him.
Yeah.
That's the man that, you know, if you were to meet him in person and on the street, that's that dude.
Yeah.
He's that same guy. And I've seen it and I've witnessed it and been in awe of it. Just how he is with his family, how he is with his bandmates, his band members, how he is with his business partners, with fans when he meets them. Everything that you're seeing in that episode and that feel good, positive, whatever energy that you're getting back, that's real, man. That's exactly who he is. You know, when we were filming, tell this quick story. We were out in the DC, Virginia area, and we were at this venue called the Birchmere, very famous venue on the East Coast, Birchmere Theater. And we had been following Eric that entire week to get the episode, you know, get things for the episode. And we were kind of winding down, and we got to the venue about 12 noon that day. and the show was over. It was about approaching midnight, 1 o'clock. So we working on 13 hours, right?
Wow.
And so we were standing and waiting for Eric to. We only just needed to get this last little bit, right, to close up. And I was ready to go home. We 13, 14 hours in.
Right.
I'm like, oh my God. And I asked his assistant because he was still standing, and because there was a line of fans after the show that wanted his time. They wanted an autograph, they wanted a picture, and whatever. And it just went on for like at least 2 hours or more after the show. And I asked, I said, when is this up? She said, oh, he's not leaving until he's seen everybody. I said, does he do this every show? She said, every show. He never leaves. If there's a fan in line that wants his time, he stays and he gives that fan the time. She told me about a time where it was winter and they were at a venue and the venue was like, yo, man, we got to shut it down and we got to close up. And it was still fans in line. They took tables outside in the snow so he could see and give pictures to those people. Before he didn't say, anybody would understand, hey, they kicking us out. It's time for us to go. That's not what that man did. He took a table outside so the last few fans that were standing in that line could continue to get whatever it was that they were seeking from him as his fans. He's that attentive. He's that on it. And I think that's why people love and support him so much, because what you're getting on that stage, what you're getting in that autograph line, what you're getting when you meet and greet with him, you're getting Eric Roberson. So I was just in awe of that energy, man. I don't know how you do that 150, 200, however many shows a year that he does. I don't know how you do that night in and night out. But I've known him now for 10 years, and I've seen him do it every single time.
Well, that's the difference, right, between an independent artist
and
an artist who's got their check already from a record label.
Right.
Oh, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I got to go. Bye.
Yeah.
Why? They already got their check.
Yeah.
But an independent artist understands my interaction with this person. They could go and tell 100 of their friends, post on Facebook, oh my God, met Eric Roberson. I love this song. And they may have 2,000 friends on Facebook. That's 2,000 friends that may be like, girl, oh my God, I do love this song. And now they're downloading his music.
They're downloading his music. They're buying tickets to the next show.
Tickets, yeah. And that's the difference between an independent artist. And I'm not saying the superstars aren't that way, but if you feel like, okay, I've done enough,
right?
Well, then you're not here for the fan. Independent artist, like I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm growing this, and I'm looking for investors.
Right.
I'm driving 3 hours, 2 hours away to do a pitch. Right? Because why? I'm independent.
Right.
I've got my larger investors, but my vision is smaller investors getting an opportunity to benefit from getting equity in tech startups, because I know it's going to change their life.
Right.
Like it does for the 1% out there.
Right.
So I'm willing to go. I've done meetings. There was some investors I got on the West Coast that are 2 hours behind, and they were going to be free at like 11 o'clock my time. You know what I'm saying? At 12 o'clock my time, which was only 10 o'clock their time. Here I am doing a group presentation at midnight. Why? Because I'm technically an independent business owner. Yeah. But for me, I want to keep that passion. When I speak to young people, I spoke to this school at Marine Leadership Academy. Thank you, Susan Weinberg, for inviting me to do it again. And one of the last year I did it, they were like, "Are you rich, sir?" I say, "Well, rich is relative. If you mean like, do I have a nice house and drive a nice car and all this other stuff? If that means rich to you, then yeah." And one kid was like, "Well, why are you doing this if you got money?" Right? He was a young kid, probably a sophomore.
Right.
I said, "Why am I doing this?" I said, "Because this gives me motivation. I love talking to young people, and I love for people to sit there and see someone that looks like them be in a position where maybe they don't know anyone in that position."
Right.
And then my goal is that one day, hey, you're at the Mercedes dealership with me, and we're just chopping it up, and you're like, "Hey, I was in your class."
Right.
I was in your whatever. Hey, cool. I remember what you talked about, the blueprint. Oh man, I want you to be able to see someone who looks like you. And even if I don't look like you, the fact that when you get to a point and you're successful, and someone says, "Hey, can you come talk to some kids that you remember?
Right.
Hey, there was this guy who came and talked to our school, and he didn't have to,
Right.
you know." And I feel like someone like Eric doing that, he gets it, right? He gets it. I mean, he gets it that the fans are my lifeblood. If and what did my man say? Oh man, Outcast. He said like he goes, "Hey man, you remember me from school?" Not really, but he kept looking at me looking silly. And I
Yeah.
said, "Hey
Yeah.
man, I live by the same beat. If I don't rock it, whatever, then we don't eat." I just totally jacked it up.
That was
But
it.
he got it right.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yo man, if I don't move the feet, then I don't eat. If I don't
Right.
move the beat, then I don't eat." And I feel like when you get artists who've been out there, they're getting paid by the label, man, whether they meet a fan or not, whether they disappoint a fan or not, they don't care. They already got their check.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so important what you're talking about. It's about never losing sight of that ever important connection between who you are and the people that made you who you are. You know, at whatever level of success that you've acquired, right? It's understanding that. And I think an individual like an Eric who's been in a position where he's had that and then lost it, and had it again, then lost it again, and then had to build it in this incremental, step by step, fan by fan kind of process to rise to the level where he is now, where he's selling out venues all over the world. You know, God has a way of kind of branding something on your brain and your heart where the good people and the wise people, let me say, they don't forget that, man. Like
Right.
I know what it is to not have this. I know what it feels like to want this to be the case and it not be the case. And I think that's why, you know, artists like him give so much of themselves to their fans, to teaching. He's teaching now, and to any individuals that come his way. I've asked him all the time. I'm like, dude, how do you handle all of the requests that come your way? You know, because you're getting them all the time. He said, I do what I can. He said, yeah, I can't do everything, but if there's a way for me to figure it out, I'm going to do it. You know, but I also got to make time for my family, for my wife, for my kids, for my parents. You know, it's a balancing act, man. We all have that. We all have that balancing act, man. But I think the key of it is recognizing who and what got you where you are, and making sure that you keep those people first and foremost on your list, man, because that keeps you humble. It keeps you, as you said a little while ago, it keeps you passionate, and it motivates you, man, to do what you got to do and to continue to do what you have to do to keep pressing forward.
John, stay here. WVOM fan, we're gonna come back right after this break. We're gonna talk a little bit more about the soul indie journey. And after this break, don't go anywhere, John. Thank you, man. All right, we got about 5 minutes, okay?
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to plug this thing up, man. My laptop was about to die on me, so that's what I was doing.
What did you say?
I said I had to plug my laptop up because the battery was about to die. I thought I had juice and I didn't.
Wow.
So it's charging as we talk now, so I'm good.
What did you say?
I said,
oh, my draws. Thank you, sir. Yeah, man. I'm gonna read some of the comments on Facebook too. We got some really good comments about entrepreneurship and everything like that, man. So I'm gonna read a couple of those, and we'll tackle that, and then we'll get into how people can see it, follow it even more.
Cool.
And then let us know if there's a page they can follow and things like that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we got about 5 minutes of commercials. So
cool. All right.
All right, Facebook family. Thank you for listening. We got WVON. Got to pay some bills, and then we're gonna come right back with John Joyner on Soul Indie Soul Journey. It's phenomenal. It was great being there. Eric is such a nice guy, man. I mean, gosh,
he's the best, man. Him and Will, man. It's a pleasure getting to know these. Like I said, I was a fan first, man. Just listening to their music, man. So it's been great getting to know these brothers.
I know everybody was like, man, sing change for me. Yeah. Don't. Oh, dude, I was waiting for that song, but I get it, man. I get it. I get it. I have that on my playlist. I was like, I just played it after the show, man. I was just like, I don't care. Bum, 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 bum. But that's the beauty of being an independent artist. I mean, you can do whatever you want. You can write whatever you want.
Yep.
17 albums. Didn't even know that.
Yeah, man. And still going strong, man. Still
Yeah.
going strong. In fact, I would say probably this last album and single, Lessons, man, is probably one of his strongest albums.
Wow.
In terms of content and the kind of momentum that it's been getting. A lot of radio play, a lot of play of the video. Yeah, man, Eric is still growing, bro. That's the beautiful thing. He's still growing and expanding as an artist, man, and people are still learning who he is. And it's wonderful just to kind of continue to watch that, man. Couldn't happen to a better dude.
Man. So when we come back, I want to ask, what happens if, BET or OWN network says, hey, we like this? Is that part of the goal?
So we have a non-exclusive deal with
Okay.
PBS. So there's opportunity for us to explore those kinds of relationships if we wanted to.
Okay.
Obviously I want to maintain a respectful air about the fact that PBS are the ones that said yes to us.
Well, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, we have some flexibility there.
Okay, good.
In terms of how we do it.
Good. Because I want to definitely be a part of this somehow beyond the sponsorship. I want to know, as things get growing in my company, I want to know how we can. I was just blown away when I saw that. I can't wait. Like I told you, I can't wait for season 10.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
From your lips, brother, to God's ears.
I'm just saying because the stories need to be told. I mean, when I look at what I'm building with 1921 Co-working and Incubator, and now, 1921 Radio, giving, thousands of small businesses the opportunity to have a published article written about them that they can now share, right?
Right.
Gives them credibility. They can now share this with other news media outlets. Like, yo, I was just featured in so-and-so. Write about me.
Right.
Because it worked for me. I was in Block Club. I was in Metropolis newspaper. Next thing you know, I'm in Block Club. Next thing you know, I'm in this,
Right.
And so what you're doing for the independent artist, though, is amazing. I downloaded a couple songs that he sang that I hadn't heard before.
Right.
And
that's the thing too. I think that's why the artists, particularly the artists that we're working with season 1, signed on to work with us, man, because they saw the value in what this could be for independent artists, not just them, but for all independent artists, how it shines a light on independent artists in a positive way. I know Eric has said that for a fact.
Wow.
And I think that the other artists, kind of see it that way and feel that way about it as well. So it's been an honor, man. It's really been exciting to do it. Like the young lady you were talking about was Mesa. She went to Home Depot and put in that application because she was just going through a down period.
Yeah.
But she said the people from Unsung came to her about doing her story because she's huge.
Yeah.
Like Mesa with Incognito, man, they were one of the biggest bands in the world back in the 90s.
She was with Incognito?
Yeah, she was the lead singer.
Whoa, now, okay, I'm sitting up here like, why do I know this person?
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, her song Deep Waters, that's
Woo,
Mesa.
Deep Waters.
Yeah, that's
okay, let's stop, man. We gotta talk about this on the show. We gotta talk about this. We're gonna stop right now. We're gonna come back on the air. We're gonna start back over, okay?
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And that song, I mean, like I do, that song is huge here in this city, man. Yeah. WNUA played that all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when we come back on, we're gonna talk about that, okay?
Cool.
All right. All right, we got probably about 2 minutes, okay?
Okay, cool. Let me trying to set this thing up a little bit better.
Okay. Now I just got to remember what we talked about.
Yeah.
I know. I was doing that one time, and one of the producers was like, "Hey, man, shut up! Talk about that on the show." I was like, "Oh, right."
How many more guests you got tonight?
You were there.
Oh, okay, cool.
The last one I had like we had 4 on earlier. All of the time. Now I'm a new dad. This is my draw. Take it home. Do 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 do. All right. All right, welcome back, WVON family. You know, I had to play the whole song for that one. I was feeling it. Thank you to my super producer engineer, Jay Mud. That's my guy right there, man. Hey, Jay, don't I take care of you, man? I do. I take care of you, man. I take care of the engineer, man. Whether it's pizza, Chick-fil-A, Reese's. I forgot what that drink was we just got. I mean, not alcohol, just regular. It was a juice drink. The juice drink. Yeah, that's it right there. Pineapple mango. I mean, I take care of the engineer because I need that brother to play my mess, man, and he plays it. All right, we are back, WVON family, Facebook family. We're talking with John Joyner, the founder of Indie Soul Journey. Phenomenal. We're going to get into it on how you can support and follow. But off the air, John, we had some good conversation, man. We had to wait to get back on the air. I mean, right. But we talked about, how the how the artists, this is real life. Like, this is real life struggles. And we Absolutely. Were talking about Mason, right?
Mason, yes.
Mason. And how here's this. I mean, you say it. I mean, she was in the group Incognito.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who she is.
Everybody knows her. Mesa Leak was so she can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So Mesa Leak, she came into the business actually doing the background and singing vocals for Stevie Wonder, actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so a friend of hers who was out in LA while Mesa was still in college, and I don't want to get too deep into it. You guys are watching on the episode, but she was singing with Stevie, and he was looking for another vocalist. and her friend recommended her. And long story short, she ended up on the Jungle Fever soundtrack.
Okay.
Back in the day, the Spike Lee film.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of those vocals in there that people, and that which was a heck of a soundtrack, by the way.
Oh,
Like
my
it was
goodness, man.
all Stevie Wonder.
I have that soundtrack, man.
Yeah, that was amazing. I don't know how Spike Lee pulled off
Monday
having a soundtrack where it was just all Stevie Wonder. That was amazing.
Woo-hoo.
But anyway, yeah. So she does a lot of vocals on that, and that led to her eventually becoming the lead vocalist for the UK group, funk soul jazz group Incognito. And I think that's pretty much where she became. She ceased being Mesa Leak and simply became known as Mesa.
Mm.
You know, when she when she made that transition to Incognito, and you know everybody knows those huge hits with Incognito. Still a friend of mine. Shade of Blue, and of course Deep Waters. Like she can't leave this city if she does not sing Deep Waters.
I know that's right, dude.
Chicago loves Mesa. But yeah, so she's definitely one of our season 1 artists with an amazing story, man. Just, you know, really gets to the core of what it means and what it is to be an independent artist, pursuing your passion and your dream and your vision for who you are and how you want your art to represent that.
You know, I'm going to read one of the comments. Gary says, it is so good for people who are pursuing their dreams of their art, entrepreneurship, or even just life, right?
Yeah.
To see those who were successful, but really see the struggle they had to go through to get there. It is helpful to know that others have had to go through the same grind and hear about them being in a place at one time that they may be at now.
Right.
And know that by persevering and battling through that grind, there is a path to realize dreams and goals. He said, looking forward to following your project.
Oh.
You know.
Well, thank you to that brother, because that right there, that's it, man. I mean, you know, you have other kind of docuseries shows that kind of chronicle music artists' lives.
Sure.
And you know, no disrespect to anybody, but they kind of, some of them, and I won't name names, but they kind of focus on those extreme struggles, you know, where it's like a lot of drugs, or it's a lot of you know, crazy living and lifestyle and things like that. Everybody ain't going through that, you know, and yes, those may be true to those particular artists that they're featuring, and that's fine if that's their genuine story. But what we did and what we wanted to do was create a show that pulled back the layer on those day-to-day, everyday struggles that everybody goes through in one form or another, and that everybody can identify, and that, quite frankly, we all get tripped up by.
Yeah.
You know, it ain't got to be as big and as bad and as crazy as that extreme stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it could be paying bills. It could be taking care of kids. It could be sick parents. It could be, you know, some kind of normal, everyday, day-to-day struggle that you can throw a rock and you'll hit a person that absolutely identifies with that. And that's the types of stories that you get with Indie Soul Journey, is folks who were going through those kinds of, you know, just getting up out of bed is a struggle kind of story, but they found a way to push through those things and to persevere, and are now living their dreams and their passions. You know, so yeah.
Well, I mean, I think what I saw in the and like, you know, Gary said on the comment, sometimes it's not even about entrepreneurship. It could be about life.
Yeah.
And I think what I got out of it, and I know a lot of people got out of it as well, was that you can relate.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're like, I am Eric.
Yes.
Eric is me.
Yes.
You know, I am Mesa. Mesa is me. And I think you hit it on the head with the first one we saw.
Yeah. And that's the takeaway, man. It's we absolutely are one and the same, man. And to see somebody, just like Gary says, who had those same struggles and found a way to continue to live his dream, and it's to this day living his dream out loud. I hit him earlier today. He's on a plane somewhere headed to do what he loves, right?
Yeah.
So continuing to live that dream and that passion, man, that's exactly what Gary is describing, the takeaway that we're very hopeful when audiences look at and view these indie soul journey stories, that's what they come away with. Like, man, this is how you do that. This is how you find a way to push past and to continue to persevere.
Well, I mean, I think, and again, this isn't throwing shade to Where Are They Now, Unsung, but you know, you can watch Unsung and be depressed. You know what I mean? Like, dang. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you know, and I'm not throwing shade. I think it's a great. We didn't
Oh,
have
it's
a
a great
black,
series. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
we
fantastic
didn't have a
series.
black version of Where Are They Now that
Right.
MTV had, you know, or whatever it was.
Right.
But man,
Yeah.
the contrast
Yeah.
between what I saw, and I've seen a lot of the Unsung because I love Unsung. I mean,
I
you know,
love
they're
it.
doing artists that I remember growing up to, right?
Yeah,
You know, and
absolutely.
so, but to see, you know, indie soul series, you feel refreshed,
hmm
you feel lifted up because, like I said, you know, I've watched, you know, the Unsung whatever. You don't walk away like, oh, that's me. I can relate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, I don't do drugs. You know what I mean? I ain't, you know, kill nobody. You know what I mean? I ain't go to prison. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I can't relate to that mess. But I
Right.
have sat there where I've contemplated things.
hmm
You know, I've
Absolutely.
sat there where, you know, I'm living my best life, working out, you know, working on projects, and then I feel this weird pain
hmm
in my shoot down my back. I chill. Then I feel it in my neck, and then the next thing you know, it goes away,
hmm
comes back, and then yeah, I'm at church and I can barely walk. And my friend says, "Dude, what do you go to the doctor?" My wife
Right.
been saying it. I finally go, finds out I have I had a herniated disc on my spinal cord.
Hmm.
And you know, I'm lifting, I'm bulking up and everything, and I'm thinking, man, what did I do wrong?
Right.
I see that the surgeon. I went to one of the top surgeons at UFC who's done 1,000 of these,
Right.
which was encouraging, but dang, 1,000, you know. And I said, how did this happen? He goes, man, no one knows. You could have literally lifted the garbage out of the bag out of the can wrong. You know what I'm saying? Or it's just one of those things that you can't pinpoint it.
Right.
You
It's
know,
everyday
and
living.
it's everyday living.
Yeah.
And when he said you're gonna have to go to surgery, and he goes, "Are you a singer?" I was like, I mean, I sing at church sometimes. He goes, "No, no. Are you a professional singer?" Like, because what they have to do with mine, you know, although the herniated disc is back here,
hmm
they have to go through the front.
Mm.
So they got to move your vocal cords and
Oh wow.
everything over,
Right.
shave that down, merge everything,
Mm.
and put it back together. What he meant was it will never be the same.
Right.
You know, you'll have to go through, and if it does, you have to go through surgery or therapy, and because it'll never. Like, and I feel the restrictions when I sing because I'm a musician. I used to play piano, I used to sing, whatever. I feel the restrictions.
hmm
So when I heard Eric talk about, and I'm not going to spoil it, whatever, I'm not going to say what it was. That was me. I
Mm.
felt like, you know, and so, and after my surgery, they were like, you can't lift anything, you can't do anything, you can't eat anything. I felt hopeless
hmm
as a man, right? As a married man with kids, I felt hopeless because for the first time in my life, I could not do anything.
Right. Right.
I couldn't be that role that I saw my dad be, right?
Right.
I
Right.
couldn't that I wanted to be when I grew up, and I finally got it. And then here I get hit with this surgery. And to still come out of that. I mean, I went through depression, I went through whatever, you know, and to see an artist go through what he had to deal with, and then singing on that stage, and then meeting him but after the concert and just the kindness. I mean, you know, and I'm not just because you're my guest. I mean, again, when I contrast, and I know Unsung is completely different, and I'm not throwing any shade. I think they're awesome. But what I love about your series and what you're doing is that people can relate and people leave refreshed.
hmm hmm And that's the goal, man. It's like you said, what you went through is some everyday stuff.
Yeah.
You know, anybody could have done that, and your doctor has worked on and operated on thousands of folks who have similar stories, man.
Yeah.
And those are the folks who we're talking to, the people who have had these struggles and probably are still having those kinds of struggles.
Mhm.
And what we want to do is put in front of them a story where, first and foremost, here's somebody who's went down and going down that same road that you've gone down. But guess what? Here's how they did it. Here's how they overcame. Here's how they pushed through. And maybe there's something in that
Mhm.
you can take away and apply to your story and say, maybe if they did it this way, or if they were able to push through this way, maybe there's a way for me to do that same thing too, and to live my best life just like these individuals are living theirs. Whatever your best life is, it may not be touring the world, singing in front of thousands of people, sold out shows or whatever. Whatever, we all got our best life to live, right? And it looks like what it looks like. The point is that we live it, and that we be encouraged and motivated and inspired to go out and do what we need to do to live it. And that's what we want to be able to do through Indie Soul Journeys, is to give people that inspiration and that motivation to find a way to do just that. Go out and live your best life, whatever it looks like, whatever it sounds like, go do it. Because here's people who've done that, and this is what it looks like when you push past and you break through those barriers and you indeed get to live in that best life. And we want that for folks. We want it for any and everybody that views the show. We want that for you.
No, and you can tell. I mean, and you can tell by the way the series plays. And it's not like a 2-hour thing. I mean, it went by too quick. I was like, wait, where's the rest of it? You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh my God. It makes you want to wait for the next one. Who's the next artist coming up?
So we'll go through the other season 1 artists. Of course, we talked a lot about Eric Roberson, and we touched on Mesa Leak, who's lead singer for Incognito. We're focusing on Avery Sunshine, who actually has a strong Chicago connection as well, even though she's from the Atlanta. Oh, no, I'm sorry. She lives in Atlanta now. She's originally from the Chester, Pennsylvania area, just outside of Philly. But her strong Chicago connection is her I guess you want to call it her leap into stardom, her leap into renown came because a programmer here on radio V103 by the name of Derek Brown fell in love with one of her singles, and he loved it so much that he encouraged other programmers throughout the Clear Channel network to play her song. And next thing you know, she's going from doing these small spots, just trying to grind and plug along and build up her career as an independent artist, to being at the Soul Train Music Awards, being nominated and touring the world and being the amazing artist that she is today. So we're focusing on Avery Sunshine's story. We're telling Cy Smith's story, who I call the hardest working woman in show business. Wow. I don't know an individual that works harder, that does more than Cy Smith. People are going to absolutely love her story and hear the things that she's gone through and overcome, and to persevere and to become the amazing artist that she is. And then we focus on Frank McComb, who's been really plugging away for close to 20, 30 years as an independent artist, man. Amazing singer, worked with Gamble and Huff back in the day. You know, he got his start with those guys out there, the founders of that Philly sound.
Yeah.
And has done some with Branford Marcellus and George Benson and just, oh my God, it can go on and on and on. The folks that Frank not only has worked with, but folks who absolutely love and respect the artist that he is. People are going to love Frank's story. And we close it out with Yazara St. James, who's probably the youngest of our crew, who's really carving a name for herself in her own right as an indie artist, who's going through her struggles, just like all the rest of our artists. But yet here she is doing amazing things. Has toured with Madonna, has toured with Lenny Kravitz, and is now just kind of blossoming as an indie artist, doing wonderful things out here. So I think people are going to really love, whether they've heard of these artists or not. That's not the point. I promise you, by the end of each episode, you will be a fan, because you will not only embrace and love the music that you hear and the art that these artists create, but the people that they are and the journeys that they share with you will absolutely make you a fan. So we're really excited that people will get a look at all 6 artists throughout the spring and summer, as we present those through our partner PBS, WTTW Chicago.
Well, I mean, I think you hit it out the gate with Eric Roberson, because, you know, people know him and people love him, and they love him even more after. Like I told you, I was downloading songs that I had never heard. I was like, oh, shoot. I'm literally showing my friend Dan sitting next to me. I was like, dude, I just downloaded that song. Dude, I just downloaded that song. You know? I just, I'm downloading these songs, man. The only one I couldn't download was the one he made up on the fly, right?
Right. He made that one. You couldn't get that one yet.
Man, dude, write that one, man.
Right.
But I think you hit it out the gate with, kicking it off with Eric, because he's gained even more fans, and I think after the show runs,
Mhm.
right, they're gonna gain even more. They're getting a spotlight, like we were talking off the air, why I created the 1921 radio show, because there are thousands of small businesses that don't get on WGN, that
Right.
aren't featured in Black Club Chicago. They're not featured on, in the Sun Times, and
Right.
but they've got a story to tell about their business and what happens when you're featured in, or published. Your article is published about your company. What it does for your business, it lends more credibility. It helps bring in more profit. But more than that, you can now be like, hey, look, I was just featured in so and so. Here's the link.
Mhm.
And you can then parlay that into with other media outlets. And I feel like that's what indie soul journey is going to do for these artists who've been out there, and even the ones that we don't know yet. It's going to put them on a whole nother level.
Right. Yeah, man, and that's our hope. I think one of the things we really focused on when we were creating these episodes was, how do we create something that the fans that we know these artists already have, when they see it, they'll feel like, oh wow, this is a wonderful representation of the artists we love, and we found out some things about our favorite artists that we didn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the people who've never heard of the artist, how do we create a show where they go, you know what, how in the world did I not know about this person? How in the
Yes.
world have I not heard this music, this art? And do like you did, go right to the phone or right to the computer and say, how do I download it? Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we recognize that folks are going to fall into one of those two camps. They've either heard of these folks, they love them, and they're going to be serious about, hey, did you represent my artist, my favorite artist, right?
Yeah.
And we want people walking away feeling like we did. And then those folks who may not have heard of them, but go away like, oh, I may not have heard of them before, but I'm a fan now.
And
So
that's an added,
that's what we wanted to do.
and that's an added pressure on you, right? Because these people, they have fans who love them.
Oh yeah, and
right?
serious. Like I've said before, I don't think there's a more loyal, fiercely loyal fan than an indie soul fan. Like, they are faithful to these artists, man. These are fans for life, man. Whatever these cats do, wherever they are, their fan base is there.
Yeah, and that was pressure to make sure you're bringing the right story. And I think what I love about what you did and what you're doing is that, you're not the big network that's like, all right, we got to do this. What's going to sell?
Mm-hmm.
I talk about him, having 25 kids over here. You were just like, we just want to tell the story the right way, right? And there's the African proverb, right? Until the lion tells the story, the hunter will always get the glory. And I probably jack that up, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Until independent artists, until small businesses get a chance to tell their own story,
right?
People have no clue the truth, right?
Yeah. That's exactly what we wanted to do. Is to have the artists give us who they are as people and as artists, and then give them back something that when they see it, they feel good about. That they're proud of it, that they feel like this is an honest and accurate representation of who they are, and worthy of being the vehicle through which their stories are told. And that was a challenge, man. And I take that, my entire team, we take that very, very serious. It's not about hunting out the most salacious, the most, devastating details of their lives, man. Listen, that's not my place to tell that stuff. And I know that that's a part of this business, and we'll have those hurdles to leap as we move forward as content providers, but that's just not who this is or what this is, Indie Soul Journeys. And quite frankly, I refuse to compromise on that, because that's not who these artists are. And quite frankly, they deserve better than that. They deserve us to dig deeper and to work harder to craft stories that are true, accurate, and quality representations of who they are, what they've been through, and something that people have something that they can take away and do something with after they're done watching. That's what we wanted to do.
And let me tell you, you did it. And to all my WVON family, we're going to talk about how you can listen, how you can see this and listen. Um, I think, John, why I can't wait to, like I said, I keep saying season 10, you know what I mean, is because you're giving the artists an opportunity to tell their story, right?
Yeah.
They've told you, they've entrusted you with it, and it's who they are, right? There's no, I mean, the fact that Mesa was like, got real. I had to go apply for a job. You know what I mean? Not just any job, like Home Depot job, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
The
Right.
vulnerability, you know what I mean? The vulnerability alone was it just got me.
Yeah.
Just in that teaser that you sent with everybody in there.
Yeah. And who can't identify with that, man?
Right.
Having life go in a certain way where you feel like you've achieved a certain level in status and things, and then that stuff gets taken away. And then that reality smacks. Okay, no, I'm not living the life that I thought I'd be living, but I got a son, I got a family, I got to eat,
Yeah.
and I got to do it however I got to do it. When she shared that part of her story, I remember sitting there the day we talked about that, man. I was blown away. I didn't know that. I had never heard that anywhere from Mesa, wherever she had maybe possibly shared her personal story. So it blew me away that she had come to that place and had made that kind of a decision for herself. And like you said, that's a very, very vulnerable place to be in life, a humbling place,
Mm-hmm.
But to her credit, she put all of that ego and all of that other stuff to the side because, hey, I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah.
Now, as she says in the teaser, the lady wouldn't let her do it.
Yeah.
The lady would not let her do it. You're like, oh no, Mason, no, not you. No, no,
Right.
no, no. You'll be just fine. You'll
Yeah.
be just fine. And the lady was right. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? She was absolutely right. Mason's plugging along right now, doing amazing things. But again, that's right there. That's the essence of Indie Soul Journeys, man.
Yeah.
Just pushing through those dark, dark moments, man, and finding a way to ultimately end up where it is that God wants you to be.
And the caveat, I mean, one of the caveats is, how did you get Will Downing to do the voiceover
Yeah.
for all that? I mean, it's Will Downing. This is like, and again, no shade to anyone. This is Will Downing. Everybody knows who he is.
Yeah.
How did you get Will Downing to do that? And what made him be a part of that?
Well, yes, that's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked it because I'm not even sure myself to this day how we pulled that off, man. But Will, listen, he is such a great guy, man. Such a good brother. First and foremost, we were introduced through a mutual friend
Okay.
who's since passed away, Mr. Dedry Jones, who was a giant in terms of the music industry game here in Chicago himself. Rest in peace to Dedry. But Dedry connected us. And we met years before I ultimately came to him about being on Indie Soul Journeys. But Will was always very, very gracious, very warm, welcoming, just a really good person. So when it came time to make that pitch to him, when we were kind of figuring out who our narrator would be, and we were thinking about voices and all of that, he was one of the first. I mean, come on, like you said, that's Will Down. He was one of the first to jump in my head. I was like, will he do this?
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, first time show, first time producer. We ain't got no track record, And then even if he did, can we afford this? All of these doubts in my head. But man, listen, we reached out to Will. We told him what we wanted to do. Dedry connected us, gave me his number. We talked about it, and really, he almost immediately said, yeah. He almost immediately said, yeah, we worked it out. And he's just been wonderful and gracious just from day one. And we've gotten to know each other a little bit better over the years, man. He's just a really good dude, man. Like just him making time to be there on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like he's in the middle of touring, man, but he carved out time to come with us to be here for the celebration of the premiere because he's been a part of the process for the past few years. So he knows what it's taken for us to get to this point, man. So he wanted to be here. Like he was almost excited as we were, the fact that we were about to cross this finish line, man, and get this thing out to the people, man. So yeah, he's been amazing to work with. It's been an honor to work with him, and you saw the reaction, man, from from the fans when he stepped out on that stage. I think that brother spoke 3 words.
Yeah,
and they lost their minds.
And they lost their mind. They lost their mind.
Yeah, man. So
I mean, one woman yelled out, "I'll be your wife." Or
yeah,
whatever,
marry me, right?
Marry me, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then that's what at that point I said, so y'all telling me that I chose the right voice, right? They were, oh yeah. So
well, I mean,
yeah,
and it was a surprise too. Nobody knew he was there, and I think
Right.
that's what was so cool.
Yeah.
And yet, he was so giving to Eric. You know what I mean? So, you know.
Yeah. Eric shared that, man. That Will was one of the first major, like, big stars.
Yeah.
To not only have him write for him, but to be willing to be a feature artist on Eric's stuff, right? Like to have that energy go back in the other direction.
Yeah.
Not hey kid, come do something for me. What can I do for you? You know, and again, just everything that they shared on that stage, that's been my experience with them. That give back, like, hey, what do you need, man? How can I help? Just let me know. I call, they pick up. Like I'm used to it now. I never thought I'd get used to being able to call a Will Downing or an Eric Roberson. Hey John, what's going on? I'm like, every time they pick, I'm like, dude, this dude know my name, man. This is crazy. But you know, that's just the good brothers that they are, man. Just very, very warm and personable. And whatever you need, whatever gets the job done, whatever makes it a success, they are on board for it, man. And so yeah, people are gonna love it. They already know the voice from the singing. He knocked it out the park in terms of narrating, man. Like it just fits the vibe and the energy of the show so perfectly. I'm really excited that people will get a chance to hear that and experience that, and how that kind of will play into the overall Indie Soul Journeys experience when people are viewing it.
Well, you know, you said something. I mean, and I actually spoke at an event, and called the Men Motivating Men Hood Tour with Carl West, who was one of my guests at the event. And you know, we had this conversation about this and that, and where all the Black millionaires and where whatever. And I said, well, the problem is they're not intentional. Right? They're not thinking about it. And the fact that, you know, Eric shared, and he said no shade, but that he wrote all these songs for all these different artists. You know, when he said first name Charlie, last name Wilson, didn't even know who he was.
Said he still don't know who he is.
Still don't know who he is. And he wrote a great song for him. You know what I mean? And how he wrote for other artists, and they were like, all right, thank you. And never was like, hey man, you know what?
Right.
Come do this for me. And he was fine with it. He was like, hey man, look, I'm where I need to be, this, that, and the other. But the fact that Will was intentional.
Yes.
With that, and I think that speaks a lot about Will's character.
Absolutely.
And Will's understanding, you know, and I think if we had more people in the music industry, in the business world, in the education, in the whatever, who were more intentional, where we would be right now, where you know, the community would be as far as music, living, life, and whatever.
Right.
And I thought that was incredible.
Absolutely, man. If we had more people like that in life in general, brother, how much better would it be? But again, that genuine energy, man, that's just who they are. It's been my experience as I've worked with these brothers the last 5-10 years. They're consistently those people. And the beauty of that, I believe, is that comes out through the stories and the art. That people will gather that and to know going into it that all of that genuineness, all of that, whatever it is that you're getting back, that you're feeling good about, that's authentic. You know, it's not pretend, it's not made up, it's not just for the cameras. Because I promise you, when those cameras were cut off, those cats were the same cats.
Yeah.
You know, and it's an honor to work with people like that, man. That's just genuinely who they are. You know,
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about how we can watch. We got to take a quick break. All right. WN got to pay a couple bills and play a couple commercials. All right. But we'll be right back. WN family, Facebook family. And real quick, when is the next concert at City Winery?
We're working on that right now. It's crazy. You hit me up because City Winery hit me up tonight talking about Tuesday. And so we definitely have begun that process. So hopefully we'll have something to announce to the people very soon about that.
Very soon, but possibly what month are we in? May? In June, maybe?
We'll see. Well,
here's what we're going to do. Because when we come back from the break, you know, we're going to give away, we're going to have 2 tickets there. All right. They're going to be my guests.
Oh, okay.
At the next one. So we're going to have some call-ins. So WVM family, Facebook family, when we come back from this quick break, we're going to take caller 1 and caller 2. You can't bring somebody. You got to come by yourself because I want to give 2 tickets away, all right? Or maybe I'll let one person bring somebody. I don't know. We'll figure it out after we break after this song. After this break. All right. Thank you. We'll figure that out, right? I love that, man. We'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah. We'll figure
I'm not going to talk to you because I need to say. So,
hey, how long is this break?
Literally 4 minutes.
Okay, all right. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, I'll be right back.
Yep. Be right back, Facebook family. 3 minutes. You hear that?
Yeah. You know that's actually a cover.
Change for me.
That's actually a cover tune. That's done by an artist out of St. Louis.
What do you say?
That's actually a cover tune.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's originally done by an artist called Asulande out of I think that brother's out of St. Louis.
Well, he killed it.
Yeah, and then Eric covered it.
Wow. Well, this is gonna be on YouTube. I'm gonna send you the link.
Oh, okay, cool.
So Eric can hear it. All right, all right. Chant for me. All right, all right. Welcome back, WVOM family. Welcome back, Facebook familia. Hey man, we were just talking. Listen, I got a chance to meet the brother. Incredible. Got a chance to tell him a little bit about 1921. Awesome, attentive. I mean, just got off a concert. Just had the whole world hear his whole life. And he's sitting there listening to me like I'm the only person in the room. It was awesome. Great guy. So was Will. Great meeting, Will. I'm glad he took a picture of me. I tried to buy him some drinks, and he was like, it was so cool. It's so cool. So here's what I want to do. We're going to find out when the next concert is. We're working on that now. But caller, let's see, should I give two people an opportunity to come, or should I get one person and they bring somebody? I don't know, man. Let's see here. I got to figure that out. But in the meantime, what do you say?
I tell you what, you get your two people, and then when we get this date locked in, we'll make sure that those two people can bring a guest.
Okay, all right. So you heard that, ladies and gentlemen, from the man putting it on himself. So we'll invite two people. So I need caller number one, caller number two. All right, 773-591-1690, 773-591-1690. Caller number one, caller number two. You're gonna be able to bring a guest to the next Indie Soul series, Soul Journey series. Wow, that's dope. All right, so 773-591-1690. Jay, super duper producer engineer. All we need is their name, their phone number, and their email address. And then you can tell them, and I'll say it on the air for them to email me, but at least I know it's them, or text me. Just their name, their phone number, and email address. And guys, let me see. The first one I saw was dope. All right. Eric Rose, I can only imagine what the next five are going to be like. They're dope. Okay. So how can people follow? What can they do to follow you guys?
So they can check us out on our website, which is www.indiesouljourneys.com. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, they can follow us on the website, www.indiesouljourneys.com, INDIESOULJOURNEYS.com. They can also follow us on Instagram. It's indie_soul_journeys, or they can follow us on Facebook, Indie Soul Journeys.
I love it. So
those are the three ways.
Just Indie Soul Journey, period. Love it.
Google Indie Soul Journeys and you'll find us.
I love it. And I'm gonna throw in, when they come, I'm gonna throw in a bottle of champagne for those four people. I'm gonna throw in a bottle of champagne. Now, I'm gonna pick the champagne because I know y'all be having some expensive taste. A bottle of bubbly. All right, I'm gonna pick the bottle of bubbly. So if you win and you come, you're gonna get a bottle of you're gonna be able to bring a guest. All right, that's 4 total, and I'm putting a bottle of bubbly on the table. And the City Winery is a beautiful place. That was my first time there.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to City Winery, man. They embraced this idea back in 2019 when I initially pitched it. And we did a little test run in January of 2020 with one of our artists that went really great. And then, as everybody knows, COVID hit.
Yeah.
So that kind of shut us down in terms of kind of keeping it going. But we're back up. This is really like the first official kind of, kicking it off again. And, we're going to tour this through the City Winery network, because they have 8 other venues around the country. So we're going to do more shows with Eric in other cities and other markets, and then we're eventually going to do all of our other 5 artists at City Winery venues around the country, including here in Chicago as well. So throughout the rest of the spring, summer, and probably even into the fall, this Indie Soul Journey screening tour is going to be happening, and we're going to be doing it all with City Winery at all of their performance venues around the country. So shout out to City Winery, man.
Yeah, they were incredible. I mean, the customer service was awesome.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how they did it with all those people in there.
Yeah.
Everybody getting their food and their drinks and everything like that. City Winery was great. So, so what we're gonna do is caller 1 and caller 2. You're gonna enjoy the next indie series. You're gonna get some bubbly on your table to drink. You gotta pay for your own food, though. I'm sorry, man, because I know people can eat. But I'm gonna be there, so I'm gonna make sure you get that bubbly on the table, so they can follow you. Give out your socials again, sir.
IndieSoulJourneys.com. On IG, we're indie_soul_journeys. And on Facebook, it's just simply Indie Soul Journeys. Check us out.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And hold on, there was one more question. Oh, now when and how can people watch the show?
Okay. So yeah, that's
When and
important,
how?
right?
What do you say?
Yeah.
That's
So
important.
yeah, we better make sure we talk about that. So yeah, so
Right.
the actual premiere will be happening this Sunday here in Chicago on WTTW Channel 11, the PBS affiliate here in Chicago, who's our broadcast partners, and we're very, very grateful to PBS for jumping on board with us and seeing the value of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be this Sunday, May 14th at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, that folks will be able to see the Eric Roberson episode of Indie Soul Journeys. And immediately following that broadcast, for the folk, whether you miss it or maybe you're not in the Chicago area, folks will be able to stream it at WTTW.com.
Wow.
So that's going to be really amazing too. That we'll kick it off here on the Chicago broadcast, but folks in other markets will be able to log in on WTTW.com and stream the episode online.
So and that's 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, right?
11 o'clock Central Standard Time this Sunday, May 14th, Mother's Day. So after
Mother's Day,
you
okay, wow.
take care of mama and do all your good stuff, and you get on back home, get comfortable, and get your TV on Channel 11 and have us ready to roll at 11 o'clock, because we'll put it in the air.
And set that DVR to record.
Right.
Set that DVR to record. We need to support our shows. We can't complain. We don't have anything for us. And then when we do, we don't support it. We don't watch it.
Right.
So even if you serve mom all day, all right, you've given to mom and grandma and auntie and whoever all day. You set that DVR right now, as a matter of fact. Okay,
Right.
Set it right now.
Right.
Go to Channel 11. Fast forward, click all the way to 11 p.m. and record it. Get ready to record it, because we need eyeballs watching this. All right, we can't talk about, again, like we don't have this and we don't have that, and we get it, and then we don't support it. We don't watch it. And I saw it. I got a chance to see it firsthand with about 300 or 400 other people, and everyone loved it. Everyone loved it. And this is just the first. They got 5 more to go in the first season.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've already spoken it. It's going to be about 10 seasons of this bad boy. Okay. And so we need to make sure we're watching and we're supporting. It's on WTTW, Channel 11. Anybody know what WTTW stands for? The letters, why it's called WTTW?
I'll let them do
Yep.
it. I do, since they are
You do?
broadcast partner.
No, you should know, right? You should know.
I better know, right?
Right. My engineer just told me in my ear. It freaked me out because I didn't know who was talking. I was like who just said that? It stands for Window to the World.
Right.
Here's a fun fact. When I was a college student working at Houston's restaurant, and while I was on my way to work, they were outside and they were saying, "Hey, would you mind doing a quick commercial for us?" And I was like, "Sure. Who are you?" They go, "We're WTTW." And I did a commercial for WTTW back in 94 5,
I remember those
96.
little 10-second spots they would
Yeah.
do with just average Chicagoans. Yeah.
Average Chicagoan. They literally stopped me while I was walking.
Yep.
And I said, sure, okay. You know, I did a little theater in high school. And so I'm a waiter. And so I'm working, and then people are coming in, hey, man, I saw your commercial, man. They thought I was an actor. So, you know, I got big tips off that. I was like, yeah, you know, I'm a struggling actor trying to make it. Oh, that was incredible. Here you go. Here you go. Oh, it worked, man. You know, but I need to call them because I support them as well. They get a little money from me every month, but I love it.
Yeah.
So I need to let them know that, hey, and see if I can find that video clip. It's been about 20-some years, bro. So you know, but we'll see. Brother, again, it was great having you on, man.
Thank you so much,
great.
man. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you to the listeners and everybody, man. And we really, really appreciate the support. Thanks for coming out on Tuesday and rocking with us, man. We had a wonderful time on Tuesday.
Oh man, it was bananas. It was awesome. I love it. I love it. I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, please follow this brother. Give him one more time, man, as we wrap up here.
www.indiesouljourneys.com on IG, indie_soul_journeys, and simply Indie Soul Journeys on Facebook. Check us out.
Okay. Follow, and then DVR to Sunday night, Mother's Day night at 11 p.m. WTTW.
Yes, sir.
Let's get behind this. Let's support this. All right. And let's make this go so that we're doing this for another few more seasons, up to 10. Like I said, up to 10. That's what I put before Jehovah. 10 seasons, and we're going to make it happen. WM family has been awesome. Brother John, thank you, man. And you guys have a great night. I'm out.
Right.